First day to come out.
Rick, would you
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Eichmann.
Present.
Biesinger.
Present.
Boss.
Present.
Ekis.
Present.
Fry.
Present.
Gross.
Present.
Schroller.
Present.
Throm.
Present.
We have quorum.
All right, the first item is the approval of minutes. I had some amendments that should be at your desk, so I would entertain a motion to approve with the amendments.
I move to approve the regular meeting, March 9 meeting with the amendments.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 8-0. And then the special meeting minutes, I did not have any amendments. Did anyone else have any? So I would entertain a motion for those.
Move to approve minutes of the special meeting. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 8-0. Next up is public comments. It would be someone that is not on the agenda that would like to share for up to 5 minutes.
Hello, my name is Nathan Ottens. Quick update on the dog park and where I'm at with that. I have come to the time where I must start thinking about my time limit upon this project. I have spent a whole year on this project, and I am running to the point where I will have to start another project if this does not end up going through. So I've come up with 3 options for the project. The first option is to do a final 2-week push, put something in the newspaper, put something out on Facebook, and do a final push, and then if the city will meet me with the rest to complete the funding. I've raised about half of what I need to raise, so there will be a little bit of change that needs to be brought up to help. The other option is to continue without me and find someone else to spearhead it, or the other option would be to stop the project and refund the money. Any thoughts on that?
I did check with Cindy, and the amount raised so far is $2,598.74, and of that, $724.47 is cash. So, and I did ask Cindy how many checks we have received, and she said about 40. So if you would opt for option 3, that is what we would have to do, is to refund the 40 checks. And then, Craig, could we keep the 724 cash? Could we use that for other dog-related, like waste stations or whatever throughout the city? Because we don't, it's just cash.
How was this raised, this money? And by whom?
In jars by Nathan. And it said for a dog park.
I don't know of a legal prohibition to it. Obviously, it's something that has to be discussed, and I would think Nathan would need to give consent, but I'd have to look into that further.
I just figured that was probably the most obvious thing to do with it. But anyway, so your 3 options presented. What do you guys think? We can either let him do a push for 2 weeks, and whatever shortfall he has, we come up with, or he's saying someone else can take over the project, and he'll leave that money for people to do, or we refund what we can and see if we can use the money for dog-related activities.
What was going to be the cost if less expensive fencing was used?
I contacted the fencing company. They haven't gotten back to me, but I do need to draw the line somewhere where I have to stop looking into that, and we have to decide what to do.
Now, I did talk to Dale Richardson today, and he said that if we would change fencing, it could cut it down as much as half. It was originally budgeted at a little over $10,000. So let's say if he cuts down to make it more like 6, I mean, that's just an estimate, and
And if that's the case, then we would actually, the city's share would be smaller than we originally thought it would be.
yeah, because we initially committed to what, 6?
6, I think.
I think it was around 6.
So if we did go with option 1 and we used the different fencing, we wouldn't be, more than likely, assuming the push was moderately successful, we wouldn't be further behind than we originally agreed to. It'd just be
Right.
a different fence.
Did the 12, so the 12 total, did that include the concrete base or did not include the concrete base?
Not,
That would
So
still be
that would
without
be,
that.
then we got trimming and everything else to do around it, which is
Right.
counter to what we originally were gonna do.
True.
Okay.
That would be 3 years, 4 years down the road, we would redo the fence.
Well, Dale said it's a fence they do have up in Beatrice.
And they spray something to kill it along the fence line.
I mean, the type of fence, the second type of fencing.
They've redone that one a couple of times too.
it's 2x4 fencing.
Bless you.
I think we ought to go with option 3.
What was that?
Stop and refund.
Are you making a motion to that effect?
I'll make a motion, we go with option 3, which discontinue the dog run.
Second.
Discussion?
Absolutely.
What would you propose we do with the cash then? I think we should probably have that be part of the motion.
I think you're gonna have, I'm no lawyer and I don't know, but I think you're gonna have to make it accessible to the people that donate it.
But if we didn't keep close receipts, how do you know? I mean,
It's like a gift card you get from somebody. If you get a gift card from Orslins, Orslins has to keep that gift card open for a certain amount of time before they can say it's lost and actually do away with it.
But anybody could come up and say, I threw in $20, I need to give them the 20.
what if we were to set it aside? I mean, not that I think we should go creating lots of special accounts, but could we set it aside in its own little account for a potential dog park? And like you said, just set a time on it, and then we can access it in 5 years or 10 years if nothing progresses.
I think that'd be a lot of work for $700.
I know, that's what I thought too, but I don't like the
If we
idea of
can
just
use
sweeping
it so that we could buy those doggy waste stations and maybe put some out at the airport. I think we don't have one at the airport now, and we could put it at other places we don't have, and put it along, maybe we need to replenish the ones we have along 7th Street railbed. I mean, if we used it all for dog-related purposes.
What if we used it for, I mean, our, I don't know what I don't have the numbers off the top of my head for our pound, our animal services, I guess, for lack of a better term.
Animal control.
Animal control, there we go. We have run a little bit of a deficit on that. I mean, if we put it into some sort of fund for supplies for that, that would be directly.
Supplies. Not for youth and destruction.
No, but for food and bedding, we do have minor expenses there. That would go in with the, the pet stations and that, as far as it'd be for serving dogs. So that way, people who did put into the cash jars,
It would be going for
you would hope
dogs.
they would be appreciative of that. Yeah.
What do you think we should do with the cash?
The cash that came out of the jars, yeah, if you wanted to use it for something dog related, that would be fine.
You wouldn't be opposed to that?
No.
Would you have to research that, Craig, to make sure we're able to do that?
To give you a definitive answer, I would. Where is this cash being held? Is it
City?
the city?
Special improvement fund.
Special improvement fund? Okay. I guess I'd ask that the council allow me to look at it pretty quickly, obviously with the understanding that Nathan here wants an answer sooner rather than later as to how to allocate that, if that's...
2 different years, I think.
Is anyone in favor of giving Nathan another 2 weeks or until the next council meeting?
I would mind doing that, but I would not want the outcome to be that if he couldn't raise the money in that time, that we pick up the balance. I wouldn't want it to end that way.
You'd want to cross between 1 and 3. Give him 2 weeks to see what he comes up with, and at the end of 2 weeks, then we go to option 3.
Second it.
Well, hey,
No, we're...
I know, I'm teasing.
it's already moved to the floor. What would be your thoughts on us doing something along those lines?
I'm really wanting to stick with the 3 options just because I only have half a year before I age out, and I don't want to not end this project before I start another one. So I'd like to either end this one or continue it.
So the motion right now is to continue or to discontinue it, give back the cash that's been, or not the cash, the checks that have been collected, and determine what we can do with the cash based on what our city attorney comes back with? Is that the motion?
Yeah.
Just sit on it for the time being.
At the moment, yeah. I don't think it's going to be the determining factor. Whatever we do with it, we do with it.
Right.
Right?
I just want to make sure we're doing.
Yeah,
Right.
we do legally
Damn
what we
right.
do. Yeah, so that was your motion, right?
Yeah.
Amended to that? And who was the second? Vicki, are you all right with that? To proceed and see what we come up with?
And I would like to say, that's not just my personal opinion. I've had many people come up to me and say that they weren't in favor of a dog park. Ones that I hadn't heard a word from until it came down to trying to find a way to finance. You'd already put a lot of time into it. So I'm sorry to say, I haven't had anybody come up and say, when's the dog park going to be done? I can't wait till I can use it. I've had people say, you know, they just didn't see why it was there at all, that they wouldn't use it. So this is not just my personal opinion. I'm representing my constituency on this matter.
How many way stations are on the trail?
There's two, and then there's one in the park.
But I don't think there's one at the airport right
No,
now.
but there's a no dog sign at the airport.
I
so
know.
We should probably
And the same way Dale said with the air, he didn't want to put one in the cemetery in a non-conspicuous place, of course, because he didn't want to encourage people to go
Send
there.
a
A lot of people use their walk their dogs in the cemetery.
I know, so it's a catch-22. You don't want to encourage it, but you want them to clean up after their dogs, so.
Is there one by the horse statue?
There used to be one.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
To the east.
I believe, to the east. To the east.
So should we go ahead and vote on this motion? All right. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, Nathan, we got your answer, and we'll contact you when we find out what we can do with the money for sure, and let you know what we're doing with the money. And otherwise, the city will take care of giving you the monies back. So thanks for your effort, and good luck with your next project.
Thank you for the quick decision.
Okay.
Thank you, Nathan.
All right, as painful as that was. Okay, Carol, you're up. Oh, wait, I should say, was there any other public?
I think that was done.
I'm Terry Hughes in the 2nd District. About either April and May the 14th, you guys had a meeting and you addressed some issues with the street department and stuff. But option 4 wasn't addressed. I wonder if you guys could go back and look at that. I'm referring to the 11th Street there. The gentleman's done a lot of work, paid a lot of money out to fix his curb and everything. We did a bad job, the city did a bad job to begin with, trying to give him a street there. Now, he's got the stuff done.
I know who you're talking to. Okay,
And
I was lost.
It would be nice if he could come, if maybe the city would put it back on the list and talk about it, and maybe fix and get the pavement fixed, because he's done the curb and brought everything up on the west side. I just wondered if you could address that.
Okay, we can
It's
bring
not
that up.
11th Street, it's 12th Street. 12th Street.
You're talking about near Lynn Mayor's house, right?
Yeah, Lynn Mayor's.
Okay, well, we can discuss that in the streets. It was an oversight, you are right.
Okay,
So-
I just wanted to bring it back to your attention again, so maybe you could look at it, because he's got it ready to get it paved, and he spent the money to do that.
Okay, yeah,
Thank
it
you
was
very
an
much.
oversight. Thank you. Was there anyone else that wanted to speak in public comment? Okay.
As you know, I'm Dan Hurst, and I'm a nuisance here in town with my property. I've been working real hard to get it ready to go now. I don't know if you guys have probably been driving around it, seeing I've been working. I'm tired of cutting trees. And if it quit raining, I'm gonna be building a building back in the back. I got to put 4 foot of dirt back there yet. I've told Mr. Richardson this and stuff, he knows about it.
You've spoken with Dave Richardson?
Yeah.
And what did he say about your property?
He says it looks really nice now, and you know, I'm gonna keep cleaning it up some more. That's back there. I have a bunch of building material back there right now. I've got kind of some fences around it right now, so I'm trying to hide all that stuff.
So we had given you a deadline of June
Yep, the
1st,
1st
right?
June.
So you're coming here to say,
I'm doing my best to have this done by then.
okay, so does Dave say it is in compliance or keep going?
We'll keep going a little bit more.
Okay.
I got all the lawnmowers, all the junk out of the backyard.
Has anybody gone by there?
Yeah, a couple times a week.
And how's it look?
Better.
Better? Is it?
Not passable.
And you can tell it's getting cleaned up.
Now, you can tell that Dan's taking some time cutting trees and,
My back's killing me.
well, and you put the racks up and got lawnmower parts and stuff stuck on them, so I mean,
Well, I got that trailer down there too, I got lawnmower parts and I want to keep it, but I'm gonna put it in the corner. We're gonna kind of cover stuff up with tarp.
Is that old car still there?
That's my pride and joy. I'm gonna fix it back up.
You gonna put it in the garage?
I'm gonna put it back behind there, and that's gonna go in the garage when I get it done.
Has that house got electricity in it?
It's gonna have it here this week.
You don't intend to leave all those racks out in the open like that, do you? Because that's not acceptable to your neighbors.
The rack,
The racks that you put all that stuff up on.
that's lumber.
East side of the house.
That's lumber I sorted out for the house. I'm adding another room on there. It'll get used up after that when I get that house started.
How soon? Like 10 years from now, or you're gonna have this all done, the lumber all used up by next year?
Next year,
By next year?
yeah. And when I get my building going, it's gonna be going in there. I want my trailer back, see? I need my gooseneck trailer back so I can haul some stuff.
Okay, you know that there is a certain percentage of the land that you can cover with buildings? That'll have to go before
I know that's what Mr. told me. He's gonna help me measure that out.
Okay, because with a shed and a garage back there, you'll be pushing the amount of ground that you can cover with buildings,
Okay.
just to let you know.
Well, we had given you the date of June 1st, and then we were going to have people come in and take care of it, right?
Yeah.
So, Craig, since we had given him June 1st, Dave Richardson's not here to tell us.
No.
Do we postpone it to the next meeting and make sure Mr. Dave Richardson's here, our city inspector?
Well, I think that's advisable to, at least speak with Dave.
Sure.
And I don't think anything prevents the city from...
To postpone it to the next meeting?
To wait, right, but there's a resolution that has been signed with a certain date in mind, so...
So we would have to make a motion to extend that to the next meeting?
I think that's probably at least that. It would be required, or another resolution overriding it, in addition to a motion.
I've had some rainy days too that kind of got interfered with me.
There are racks and racks of wood and
It's just one rack, it's only 15 foot long.
Well, I think everybody should go by and take a look, because if what he's talking about is taking up to a year to use that stuff to build a building, it's going to sit there
Well, my
for
intention,
another year.
ma'am, is to put a fence around it. You won't see it.
Well, you'll have to be about a 10-foot fence. That property drops down below the,
Well,
when you
I
drive
can't
by,
help
you're
that.
here. I know you can't help it, but it doesn't help anything to put a fence around it when you can see over it and see in the yard
Okay,
anyway.
I'll put a roof over it.
I'm just saying, I think everybody should go take a look before we vote finally on what to do.
So Craig, can we go ahead and make a motion to postpone it to the next meeting, extend it to the next meeting?
Well, I don't know that you have to make a motion to do nothing. I mean, you've heard his comments, and, I don't know that I guess he's asking for something. If he's asking for an extension, I don't think it's advisable for the city to make a decision tonight without...
That's what I want.
Dave Richardson's
Whatever.
Okay.
input and what we have from Dave, which is the spreadsheet,
Okay, so we will,
doesn't indicate enough, I don't think.
okay, so we'll just extend it to the next meeting, but we're going to ask Dave Richardson to come at the next
Yeah,
meeting.
sure.
And it has to be in compliance by then.
Okay.
And Dave is going to say either yes or no.
All right.
And the next meeting is
June 13th.
June 13th.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
All right, well, good luck.
Thank you.
I'd like Dave
Thank
to
you,
comment
everyone.
on the building, if he's talked to Dave about the buildings he's planning.
To make sure everything's
To
going to work.
see, I'd like to get his opinion on it.
Sure, on the size of the buildings that are
Councilman
going to be
Gross's
there.
point.
He's
Okay, you'll
talking
make
two
sure Dave
buildings
knows
now.
about that.
And the setbacks and things, it varies by, I'm not sure what it's on.
That's a big corner lot.
R1.
Yeah.
Big corner lot.
And this says remove non-registered vehicles. I mean, pride and joy, I understand, but if that was a condition, that's a condition.
Okay, so we'll talk about that next meeting. Anyone else for public comments? All right, now Carol, you're up. Sorry to make you get up twice.
You're fine. It's my understanding everybody's had an opportunity to look at the draft report. Were there any questions about anything that you saw in the financial statements? When did you have time to look at this?
We received the draft of it last meeting. The only question I had to do with the cemetery endowment fund.
Oh, yeah.
And I talked to Cindy about it today, and I think we'll have to talk to our city attorney about seeing if there's anything we can do to, I mean, to have that roll forward perpetually, never to be touched. I mean, it seems like we could surely.
Well, we read the documents and we happen to be peer reviewed. Your audit was peer reviewed several years ago.
Okay.
And the peer reviewers came in and they looked at that particular fund, that endowment fund. They didn't like that we had called it, I think we called it a trust at the time. They turned around and said, that is not a trust fund, that is an endowment fund, and you need to specifically call it an endowment fund based upon what they saw in our perm file regarding the fund. It was, as far as they were concerned, it could only be spent in certain ways, or it could, it couldn't be spent at all. It was,
well, yeah,
you get to earn the interest off of it and use the interest off of the cash to spend, but the endowment itself, from their perspective, and so we changed it and made it into an endowment rather than a trust fund. And that's kind of where we are, but
they believe that there is nothing we can do forever?
Not what they saw. Not what we saw in the original perm file document that can be spent in any way. And remember, we're not attorneys.
Yeah, well, that's why I thought I'd have our city attorney look at it.
Your city attorney needs to look at it.
And that was the only thing that I was like, what is this? That fund's been there, and I'm like, what is that fund for?
I don't know if somebody set it up originally saying, okay, you can have just the interest in order to take care of any expenses related to the cemetery or related, but you're not going to spend the corpus of it, which is what we read, is that you couldn't spend the corpus based upon the original document.
Well, that was financial statements?
I'm going to just kind of quickly go through this part of it. On page 2, we give you our opinion, and we are giving you a clean opinion, and that's like down under the opinion on regulatory basis of accounting. We're telling you that you're in accordance with the financial provisions of that KMAG and the accounting guide as described in the note A. So you have a clean opinion. In other words, we're not qualifying, it's unqualified. The other thing that I noticed that I just think it's a good idea to kind of get your hands around and your minds around your balances in your accounts. If you look at page 4 and 5, we show you the beginning cash balance, and then you want to look in that column that says ending unencumbered cash balance, the third over from the very end. Basically, that's the cash that you're allowed to spend, that you have available for spending. That amount that's sitting in the encumbrances and accounts payable, that is owed, and it's owed for 2015, and it's going to come out, and so you don't get that balance. You get the balance, it is added back in to get to the true cash balance. But what is available for expenditure is in that ending unencumbered cash balance. And when you look at page 4, you can see that you started out with $7,988,000 and your ending was $7,603,000. And that tells us you are using your reserves, you're using your fund balances because you're expending more than you're getting in. And you just need to be aware of that when you start using your fund balances, and you start using that reserve, or what you might call carryover, that at some point you have to rectify that. Either get those expenses under, or increase the revenues, one way or the other, because it's, it's not a limited, it is a limited amount at some point. So I just make sure that everybody understands that. And you can see the more detail in the back of the in the back of the audit report, beginning on page 20. Page 20. You can see that we've actually put in your prior year's numbers, your prior year actuals in that last column versus your current year in the actual column. Those are good references for you to see what is making the changes in those account balances, that cash balance that you're seeing. Is, just for example, on the general fund on page 20, you can see that your total cash receipts for prior year were $2,119,000. They are $1,995,000 in 2015. So essentially, you took in $14,560 less than you did the prior year. And then if you go to the back page of that particular financial statement on page 23, you can see that your total expenditures were down about $42,000 for the year. But when you look at the cash receipts, you're off, I guess, $15,000. So while you brought down the total expenditures, it still is resulting, let's see, in this particular case, it's still resulting in you having a cash balance that's down by 19 and 26, about $45,000 over the prior. You took in less. It could be that it was less was transferred in, or less taxes were captured, or less other fees in the general fund. And then the other thing I noticed was on your, we always look at your at cities' utilities, because so many times the utilities fund the general fund in order to keep the levy down, keep the taxes down. You're doing transfers from a utility fund into the general fund to subsidize the general fund and keep tax levies down. And the only thing I noticed there was in your water revenue, your actual income was down over $20,000. And but your actual expenditures were up over $60,000.
What page?
On pages 37 and 38. So resulting in you had $148,000 income in that fund last year, whereas this year you have a $12,000 negative. You lost on that particular fund. If you look at the receipts for over and under expenditures, you can see what your losses go from 148 income down to a $12,000 loss. And I believe in the sewer revenue, it goes from $1,400 in 2014, that's on page 40, down to a $38,000 loss in 2015. So it's kind of telling you that those, the utility funds are not keeping pace, revenue's not keeping pace with what the expenses are. And you'd have to correct me, but you guys don't do much transfers, do you, from the utility funds to the general fund?
36,000.
Yeah, so it's not in transfers. It's not a situation where you up the transfer to get it into the general fund because you needed more money. It's just flat out some expenses. And
yeah, we hired another person in there, so that's what happens. You hire another person in water and sewer.
Yeah.
You're fully staffed, but that's what happens.
Yeah.
And since then, we've adjusted sewer rates, so that should
help you out. I'm just letting you know so that
year.
when you come in, I want you to understand that when we start seeing the reserves.
Our water revenue fund, though, our operating balance there is like 120 days. our water revenue
But
fund?
that's gonna be every year. So it's gonna be equal every year, whether it's 120 days this year, you're still gonna be off by 120 days every year. I mean, if it's a 90-day thing, it never changes. You're not going to collect it any faster and have more revenues next year unless you get collections collected faster. It's still a 12-month period of time. It's still the same amount of time. You still got 12 months of receipts in there. If you were to collect that 120 quicker, you might have 14 months of receipts in there, 15 months, but you're still operating on a 12-month basis. 12 months and 14, 12 months and 15.
Yeah, I was just meaning that we have a carry forward balance of like 120 days in our water revenue fund, which they recommend that you keep 90, so we still have a lot of cash in our water revenue fund.
Well, you do. I mean, you have some cash, but I'm just saying, as it continues to go down, you just got to watch that.
Right.
And particularly when if it were funding the general fund or any of these other transfers, you know, that you make to the capital improvement fund, the equipment reserve fund, any of those special revenues where you're making transfers into any of them, you know, as that balance continues to drop, it's probably less and less of a transfer into one of those funds.
Yeah.
And it doesn't help when we have wet years like this because people's not watering their yards.
They're going to, but your costs are going to remain about the same.
Right.
It's not going to change.
Yeah, so, but we're just not collecting the revenue
Exactly.
because they're not watering.
Because they're not watering as much.
We have that huge debt that's going to be paid off at our sewer fund in 2018.
And that will help with whatever you're
Because our
transferring.
transfers are what, 265,000 because of that?
Right.
So that
And your goal is you hope you don't have another $500,000 in repairs. I mean, you have to always stop to consider how old your systems are. I mean, we see this all the time with cities, you know.
But we do have
don't
reserves set up in our sewer and water. We do have water and sewer reserves. We have about $1 million in our our sewer reserve and about $600,000 in our water. So I mean, those are substantial reserves.
Yeah, I mean, they're fine for that particular fund, but if you're needing it to go to another fund.
Well, those are put in the reserves. They won't go to another fund.
Why wouldn't they? If general fund got hit with something really, really big and you didn't have the money, the tax levy wasn't there for you to take, where would you get the money to pay for that? You either go out for debt or you would amend your budget and transfer some more from utilities, typically. That's what most people do.
Yeah.
And so that can eat it up real quick if you have to start transferring out of the utilities to cover other funds. I mean,
you know, when I was looking at other people's financial statements, though, a lot of them don't even have any significant water or sewer reserves. So I thought we have substantial.
you mean in your cash balances? Did you look at their accounts? Because many of our cities will have a sewer reserve account, or they will have a water reserve account, a separate account that's not just for debt, but is actually accumulating cash in it so that it can pay for future expenditures, so that it's not coming out of the current year's operations. You know, if they know that they've got to replace a water line, or they have a major well, or they have something major they've got to replace, they begin to transfer money into those reserve accounts so that it's not sitting in the actual utility.
I know, but our $600,000 in our water reserve account is not earmarked for anything.
I know. But the point is, it could be used if you needed it.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean.
And that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, okay.
And all I'm saying is, no, it's not used today, but if you have a $500,000 repair, how are you going to pay for it?
We have $500,000 in there. We have
That's right,
$600,000.
but it's gone. It'll be gone. I mean, it can be gone.
But we
in a
can
flash.
we can issue debt if we need to. We have plenty of debt.
Correct. You could.
Opportunity left.
You could. You've got lots of options. But I just tell people to really look at your reserves and consider the fact that you have utility systems and infrastructure that is extremely old and it can be very costly. I see very few water projects anymore that are less than $2 to $3 million. Very few. You know, if they have major repairs and have to fix something significant. So, all right, so that's I'm always telling all cities, just watch those things and make sure that you understand what those reserves usually are used for and how they can help you and you know, and how they can be transferred to a general fund, because that's where we see most of it go, is into the general fund or a capital improvement fund to take care of the repairs. And then the only other thing I want to make sure that I tell you, and Debbie, I will send you a new electronic file with this. It has no bearing on your audit. It has bearing on the fact that it's got a typo. On page 16 at the bottom of that, it talks about management's review of subsequent events. That should be at 18, not 28. And I will send you that page. I just want you to know.
Where are you at, Carol, on that?
On page 16 at the bottom.
I'm sorry.
We have to ask Rick and staff, is there anything subsequent to the financial statements at 12/31 that we need to be aware of? And then that date has always got to be the same date as our report, and it's got a 2 in it instead of a 1. So I just want you to know that it should read 18. Okay, the second part of this is our communication to the board, or not board, but council, letting you know that there is an audit report out there, and making sure if we hadn't provided you with it that you'd seek it out for your own use to look it up. So that's basically what this letter says in the first part of it, is to tell you there's an audit report out there. You should find it. Then we give you a few other things. If we had any audit findings, we would put those in that second part of that significant audit findings. If we had any disagreements, if we had anything, and we didn't, that went fine. There were no disagreements or anything, and if any questions came up, it was part of the routine audit itself that we discussed. And then on the next page, we talk about whether or not we communicated any material weaknesses and any other audit findings. And when we get to this back page, we will have this one that's a significant deficiency or material weakness, simply because we're required, but we're not even calling it that. We're just notifying you of it when we talk about it. Under Appendix A, which is the next page, that preparation of financial statements, it really bothers me that we have to do it, but we do have to talk about this. It's required per our standards. We have to say you don't have a CPA on staff, therefore you guys really understand your financial statements. Rick and Debbie really get that. That has never been an issue. But on these notes to the financial statements that we do, that begin on page, whatever page they begin on, page 7 of the report, the audit report, through pages 18. These are things that typically most cities would not know that would be required to be reported, and they probably most likely would not know if we reported them incorrectly. So that hence the reason we have to put this, that the preparation of the financial statements and the note disclosures, we're just letting the reader know that that as prescribed, you don't have person on staff, but we give you the recommendations. And one of the things that we do in order to show the reader, we're not going to consider this to be a significant issue, and we're not going to consider it to be a material weakness in your internal control, is because we have Debbie and Rick go down through the KMAG checklist, and they fill it out and send it back to us. And so we specifically know what, if they know what they're talking about, they complete it, and then we put it in our file to say, well, while they don't have a CPA, they have the knowledge, they understand. And then we talk about the different disclosures that are required because of your audit that we have to make. The second part of this is on municipal court. This is a repeat type response from last year. And it's because municipal courts are separated usually from the city, and they have less staff to provide more segregation of duties. It's usually one person, maybe two people involved in the operation. And from an auditing standpoint, we would like to see more people involved, you know, more of the process. You know, the person that is approving the expenditure, that's taking in the deposits, that's recording in the general ledger. You know, optimally, we would like to have 2 or 3 people, you know, to be able to segregate those duties, so one person isn't doing the process from the beginning to the end. And in the case of municipal courts, they run on a very lean budget, and you don't want to have all these people sitting over there, you know, not having a whole lot to do. Ruth does a really good job and completes everything, but what we're asking is for potentially somebody here at the city or somebody of an independent nature to review her bank reconciliations once in a while and sign off on them, that they were done properly, that they were done timely, and that the information agrees with the reporting that she's putting out, just to get some independence.
How many times a year are you?
I'd say you could do it quarterly, you could do it twice a year, you know, whatever you want to do. And the person that could do it might just go over and review what she has done, or they might actually take the bank statement and do it themselves. Or like when she's on vacation, you know, somebody might just go over there, you know, to take the payments. We're just looking for some independence in that particular office.
We addressed this last year.
But it didn't.
We didn't rectify this. I thought we put our treasurer, I thought Keycaver was going to be oversight on that. What happened to that?
No, I don't think anything was actually ever decided.
We discussed it.
We discussed it a couple times.
Yeah, and he has reviewed the bank statements. Her bank recs never agreed. So I don't know what to say. In the end, they agree at the end of the year. We can get close. But on a monthly basis, what she recorded as outstanding checks was different than what we do in the municipal courts. Is we take all of her bank statements. We schedule those bank statements out with all the receipts going in and all the expenses. And then we compare what the balance should be for the books versus the balance in the bank. And then she has a list of some outstanding checks. I think there might have been 1 or 2 that she didn't even, they weren't reconciled. She has a list of outstanding checks. We would compare what she listed as outstanding checks to what we said was outstanding checks, which we could only base that on the date of the check when it cleared the bank. And if it was dated 12/31 and did not clear the bank until January, we said it was outstanding. She might not. She might not. And then the other issue was her reports tended to go along with the dates of the checks, which if she would write a check on January 3rd, she would still report the activity in December. So we had some issues with reconciling her reports to the bank reconciliations. And that's not, I mean, that's not unusual.
Should you do a manual bank reconciliation?
Yes.
Is it manual?
Yes.
So there's no system that we can use, any kind of Quicken or QuickBooks or?
I know that we've talked to Ken, and Ken's, I think that Kenny was missing a piece of.
I think so too, and maybe.
Programmer software, and I know that we've talked to him, and I
Okay.
think that's helping him.
Helping him to get to it.
He does it for a few other cities, so I think he's familiar more with the software and stuff. Now what she's needing, so.
Good, good. Because they probably
I'll
could
follow up
use,
with her
they
and
could
make sure
probably use something. Just to, you know, and then just get something so that as an auditor, if I were to look at that bank rec, I could see his okay. I never saw his okay on anything either. So I could never tell whether he was reconciling it or not, other than being told that he was.
So she does the reconciliation, but Kenny does not?
Well, I think he was, but I think he only had half of it. I think he just had the bank part of it. I don't know that he had her reports and stuff that was in her software. So I think he's got the other piece he needs, but I'll follow up and make sure that he's.
And then the last thing is Marysville Library. They have gone with a local accounting firm that did not have government accounting. They know how to do accounting, but government accounting is a little bit different, particularly when it's statutory basis, cash basis, and recording encumbrances versus recording accounts payable that would be done on a GAAP basis. And they were doing transfers when really they weren't transfers, but they were just transfers between bank accounts. But they would like use a transfer between funds, between their three funds. And we had a problem with the beginning cash balances again. Fund balance did not roll from the prior year, and that was because I think they went in and made some adjustments. You know, we've asked them put a lock on that account on your software so that it does not allow you to go to the prior year and make some kind of a change. In other words, they might have come in 2015 on a $2014 check and voided it. Well, that automatically changed 2014. We would get them to the audit balance, and by making that change in 2015, they've now changed 2014's information. So we've said, get it locked down so you're not allowed, and it will flash you a message saying, you're making a change to 2014, because we don't want you to make any more changes. Everything must be made subsequent to 2014 in this particular case. So their stuff did not roll, and we had several adjustments that we had to do to get their accounting kind of straightened back to the audit again. And then we had some adjustments in 2015 to fix to get that correct. I think they're really trying, and we have talked, and I have encouraged them that they needed to go to the budgeting workshops that the state was putting on. They also need to go to they have like a fund accounting workshop at the same time put on by the same people. They're like a week apart. And they really need to go and make sure they get the training in the government accounting. Make sure that they get that down.
Library personnel or
the library? So we have, you know, they're very cooperative. I don't want it to, they want to do it right. It's just knowledge, making sure they have the knowledge and you know, something to help them get the accounting correct, and making sure that they're recording things properly in the government accounting way.
All right.
But that's it. You have any questions? It's always a pleasure to do business with you guys and to do the audit. Staff is very cooperative, and staff is very knowledgeable in all the areas. that we're auditing, so it makes it much, much easier. And in fact, this year, I think we had very few adjustments. If we had any, it would have been in that column that I showed you where it was AP and encumbrances, because the determination was made a long time ago that these guys aren't going to post those particular things. They're going to let us post them as audit adjustments, so we always know we're going to come in and do those. But I don't think there were hardly any other adjustments, and that's a telltale sign of how good your staff is. That if they don't have to be adjusted, then they're doing a good job.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Carol.
Thanks, Carol. All right, Randy Osterhouse. Osterhouse, which is it? O-A-E. You're not Randy, you're John Smith.
No, I'm not. My name is John Smith. I'm representing Blue Valley Telecommunications. Randy is our construction supervisor. So obviously I wanted him here, and he's from the city. But first of all, I want to thank you for letting us be on the agenda. It's kind of a two-part to why we're here tonight. Is we kind of wanted to make sure we're going to be doing a lot of work in the city of Marysville this upcoming year and in the next 2 years, actually doing some upgrades. We want to make sure you guys understand. We want to have a good working relationship with the city. We want to make sure you guys understand what we're going to be doing. In case anybody asks any questions, hey, yep, that's Blue Valley. If you have any questions, I'm the point of contact. You know, that you can direct people to, so to speak. But we've started this year, and we basically had two-phase projects slated for this year. First phase was to take fiber optics from 12th Road, which is out by Hall Brothers, Ready Mix there, to the water tower. We completed that this spring. We want to be able to offer fiber optics to all of the businesses along Highway 36 there, both sides, north and south. The second phase is actually to encompass the downtown area with fiber optics. That entails us to run a fiber optic cable basically south side of Center Street, basically from 14th, or basic cases of that, down to CJ West. We're going to do the same side on the south side of Broadway, basically, in the alleyway through there. So there's a lot of information in your packet. You can blame me. It's my fault. I told Randy to send it all to you because we wanted to make sure you guys just kind of understand the scope and where we're working at. A lot of it doesn't pertain to this meeting, but I want to make sure you understand what we're doing, and just in case you had any questions, that's basically it. The main reason why we're here tonight is we need to cross, basically it's the intersection of 8th and Center Street right here. The engineering, everything passed as far as what we're doing on West Star Poles and where we can go and where we're boring and things. But on this intersection here, we have to go under 8th Street, and we got to go across 36. So we can bore the highway, we can bore 8th Street, and go back to aerial, and that's fine. We're going to one way or the other. But one of the options we're looking at was possibly, just for your consideration, not a really an answer decision tonight, but just a consideration. We looked at it with the city. I know Randy's looked at it with our contracting firms that we're using, Hall Brothers out of Bob Hall's out of Frankfurt, is possibly using the existing ductwork that you guys have for your street lights where you're running your signal cables in. We've looked at it. There's already duct underneath 8th Street and Center Street. Here's the fibers that we're running, just to kind of give you a option of kind of what the size of what we're looking for. It's not very large. There seems to be enough room to run everything through there. Nobody, you know, our construction crews didn't think there was going to be an issue, but that's one of the considerations, is to use the existing ductwork. With all the construction up there by Hardee's and 20th Street, we didn't want to pose any additional issues maybe in Marysville. We can bore, it's not a problem. We do, you know, we do it all the time. Halls do it all the time for us. Young's out of Seneca does. But you never know what you're going to hit underneath there. We don't want to cause a problem where we have to rip up center or do anything and cause any more headaches in town. We're hoping maybe come to an understanding and maybe we can use the existing ductwork. You know, that was really the consideration of this meeting here, was just to kind of float the idea and see, you know, what you guys kind of thought about that. Like I said, it's just for consideration. We've been working with Rick on it. We've had some city workers down there looking at it. I can't guarantee you what goes wrong if we bore or do anything else, but like I said, we just kind of wanted to have a good working relationship, understand what we're doing, what we can do. 'Cause the outcome is we want to offer fiber optics to all the businesses in the downtown area. So that's pretty much it. I brought Randy along just to, if you have any technical questions or anything that he might want to add to it, we're here to answer any type of questions, just kind of let you know what we're doing. And we hope to get the phase 2 done this year. We're hoping to be able to offer the high speed to the businesses by this fall, is what the second phase of the project entails. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell.
Darlene and I spoke with John after Rotary today, and just to understand, and I told him it was really helpful when we know what's going on, so when people call us and say, hey, what's going on at 8th and Center, we can say, oh, that's Blue Valley TV putting in fiber optics and stuff like that. So I said I really appreciate him coming and letting us know what they would be doing in advance, so that we would have the answers for our constituents.
And I also asked whether the cable would be buried underground, and it will be in the downtown area.
Well, a combination. Some of it will be aerial. It's already existing aerial. We'll tie on to our existing cable that's going through, not all of it, but where we're already on the West Star poles. Where we can't be on the poles or where it doesn't make sense, we plan on boring it. And that's where some of the information, some of the slides kind of show that. So it's not all, but nothing will be visible on Broadway itself. You'll see the string of poles on the south side of Center Street or existing. This is the cable that goes up next to it. Basically, you're not going to see anything more. It's not going to be any more headaches there, so to speak. You don't like the visual of the cable. But on the back side, we're going to bore on the back side of, by the Pony Express, through that alley there, we're going to bore some, back behind the wagon wheel and things like that. There are some undergrounds that we're going to put in, yes.
So all the businesses along Center from 14th to 4th
yes,
would have access to it?
On both sides. And that's the reason, there's not a lot on the north side of Center, obviously, but for example, this building here, we have West Star, Pepsi, and we're putting enough across in case there's anything else that we want to basically encompass the whole downtown district, business district, and that's what we're going with.
If there's residences in that district, will they be able to tap into that?
We're not
just wondering.
Just because he's a half block off Center. This is like
we're not opposed to
question.
it. We've toyed with the idea, and one of the things we thought about was, I can't say that you're not selling T-shirts out of your house and constitutes a business, but you know what I mean.
Right.
If you're within a distance of our main cable, I'm not saying that we wouldn't be opposed to it. You'd be paying the business
already, because you said this already went to the elementary school, right?
Well, but that was a dedicated fiber.
Oh.
So there was no taps running off of that.
I was just curious. There's enough other people who live within that kind of range. I'm sure somebody else will ask.
No. So we're not opposed to it. We're not going to. Right now, the plan isn't to. We looked at doing every house in Marysville. Just cost effective. It just wasn't there. And there again, we know what the businesses need, right? They need more than what the cable modem's going to offer. Also, by offloading a lot of the businesses onto the fiber, there's a lot of bandwidth now that can be distributed out to the residential.
Sure.
So we can redo the nodes, we can restructure some things to hopefully, offer more speeds in the residential. And on paper and engineering-wise, it all plays out and it makes sense. And that's where our goal is for. We have a 3-year plan to basically update everything in Marysville and get it up to a better understanding.
And you said you talked to Rick and city staff. Was there any concern with using, I guess what was city staff's opinion as far as using existing conduit versus boring? Is there any concern that we would want to use that space for something else later? Or?
I doubt we would use it, but I asked him to come here to the council meeting to discuss this.
Didn't we have...
I didn't feel comfortable signing a permit on the cable. I felt the council needed to know that they were going to use that conduit on Highland should have permission of the council.
You were talking about the conduit that went to the lights downtown?
Just at 8th Street, right?
Just at 8th Street. Just at 8th Street. 8th and Center Street. Right here. Right at this intersection right outside here.
Okay, on Center?
Signal lights.
8th and Center.
Yeah, the signal lights there. There's stoplights. Yeah, the stoplights. There's conduit now that goes across, that connects all your those stoplights together. And what we would do is, we would break up the concrete. We have to break up the concrete anyways if we bore, because you have to have an entrance and an exit point, obviously. And we would put all that back, new, original, so it's, you won't know that we're there once we're done, but we would basically come aerial in there, go down those poles, go into that conduit at those corners, cross where we need to cross, and then go back aerial and continue down to 4th Street is what the plan is.
You're going to go across our Broadway and go to down 8th, a half a block, and then go go west to 7th Street, putting you alongside the Hellring Center?
We will be coming through that alley. I don't see that picture right there, but yes. You don't mind? Sorry.
That's the Hellring Center.
Hellring Center's right here.
Hellring Center's right here. Okay. So we're going to bore. So Westar has to replace that pole, which is right outside of the Pony Express. I'm sorry. Not the territory there, sorry. Westar has to replace that pole that's kind of back behind RX. So they're going to replace that pole. That pole is shot. They're going to replace that pole. From there, we're going to bore down that alley, back basically behind the wagon wheel.
Right. Okay.
Because if you look at that alley, AT&T has all their aerial stuff. The poles are all cut off. It's kind of a mess. So we're going to try to bore all that and just go up and take drops into any business that wants to sign up. We're not forcing the businesses to take this. We want the option for a business if they would like to have higher speed to take the higher speed. Because with the fiber, we can give symmetrical. It's really hard on the coaxial plant. Even though we're updated to the newest stuff, it still takes channels. So that's why we're doing it.
An update.
These fiber optic cables, what's the life expectancy? I mean, are they...
unless a black squirrel decides to get hungry. They're good. What we're using a Corning product. It's called FlexSnap. It all has connectorized ends on it. It's all pre-made at the factory, so we just wheel it out. When a customer wants a drop, we just go in there, take off the little water ring that's on there, basically cap, snap up the drop, and run it into the business. It's really simple. The expectancy is basically as long as you want it. Is what Corning is telling us. We're just going off of their specs, obviously. But that's the plan.
So it sounds like we need some action.
Yes. Well, like I said, I'm not here to force.
It'd be to approve this series of permits and job order.
Pavement cutting permits, etc.
Yeah. Just approve all of those.
Streets back like they were.
All the streets will be back. I talked to Carla earlier about what ADA or what they need to be at the the corners and stuff, and we'll follow whatever codes need to be.
Okay. Yeah. Proper compaction in the holes and all that.
Yep. Like I said, for the bigger projects like this, we use halls out of Frankfurt, and we did the school a couple years ago, and I don't remember having any issues.
Mainly behind the curb with that, no.
Yeah. No, but we do at other cities. We've done Frankfurt, and we've done other locations, and they're. We will fix whatever needs to be put back.
I just don't like to see sinkholes after people come in and cut the alleys up 2 years later.
Nope.
We got a sinkhole there where someone cut a 4x4 square out.
Nope, I understand.
You gonna make a motion there, Brad?
I move to approve, doing just the permits.
Yeah.
Okay.
Approve as submitted.
Move to approve the permits as submitted in the agenda.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 8-0. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thanks, guys.
All right, Rick Inns, you're up.
Mayor, Council, Rick Inns with Cooper Malone McLean. I've had the privilege to serve as your municipal advisor for the last approximately 9 years now, going on 9 years. And the current contract that we have with you folks expires on June 30th of this year. And so what you have before you is a renewal of that contract for the next 3 years. That agreement that you have in front of you is identical, exact word for word for what you had previously, except for change of dates. Otherwise, it reads the same way, same section, same words, verbatim. I'm willing to go through it with you. If you'd like for me to go through it, I assume you've had it in your packet and you had the ability to go through it yourself. I'd be happy to answer any questions. Or again, like I said, if you want me to go through it section by section, I can do so.
Did you include the Emma filings in this?
No, that's a
Is it a separate agreement?
That's a separate agreement, that's a separate contract. Emma is the repository of the MSRB, the Municipal Securities Rulemaking Board, in concert with the SEC, and when you issue debt, you're required for any debt over $1 million to provide continuing disclosure on a yearly basis of your financial information to this repository, this Emma. And I've been working with the city now for the last several years on providing that information on your behalf to Emma, uploading that to Emma on a yearly basis. But that work is a separate agreement, independent of the municipal advisory agreement.
So you've been doing this for 9 years. Well, my only question
I
is...
think I'm going on 9 years, yes.
The only question I have is that, we're going to have a new city administrator hopefully next month, and I'd kind of like to make sure that he or she would want this agreement. So since the current agreement doesn't end till June 30th, are you guys okay waiting until we have a new city administrator on board and make sure that they're okay with this agreement?
I don't see why we have to wait.
I think it'd be prudent.
Would you be okay if we just kind of put this on hold and have it addressed at the June 27th meeting?
That's kind of a loaded question. Obviously, I'd like for you to sign it tonight so that I know going forward that I'm under contract with you folks, but I understand that you would like to wait and see, and consult with your new city administrator.
I don't foresee a problem, but I just think that it would be a courtesy to let them be a part of saying, yes, this makes sense.
I think so too.
So are you guys all okay with waiting, since Rick regrettably is okay with waiting? Okay, so if you want to come back on June 27th, you can come back, or we can be we can do a conference call with the new city administrator and kind of talk through it. You guys have any specific questions about the agreement as presented? I had asked Rick if there was any changes, and he said just the dates. So it's basically the same agreement before. So are you guys okay with waiting?
I move that we accept the agreement tonight as proposed for 3 years.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Roll call, please.
Bikeman,
Yes.
Basinger,
No.
Boss,
No.
Ekis,
No.
Fry,
Yes.
Gross. No. Schroller,
No.
Rom.
Yes.
5-3?
Yeah.
5-3, okay. So we hope to have a city administrator on board June 20th. We probably won't make them review this that next day, but anyway, and we'll be in contact that week.
Okay.
Before the June 27th meeting.
That's fine.
So we should be fine, but I just think it's prudent to do it, and we voted, so.
And that's June 27th?
Yes.
7th or 2nd?
27th.
7th.
June 27th.
Sorry.
I will check my calendar, but again, as a courtesy to your new city administrator,
You might want to come in
I will make a point to be here to make sure that
that afternoon.
he's comfortable with who I am, hopefully.
That might be prudent as well.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Rick.
All right. Convention and tourism. Is anyone, you're here, okay.
I'm Brenda Stagenborg. I'm here on Convention and Tourism. First thing up, we have been meeting with Debbie and I believe Carla, doing a couple of meetings, talking about new Christmas decorations downtown, because we were then to the understanding that city was thinking about doing something different to begin with. And I think you all got this in your packet? Okay. This is what we came up with as a proposal as new Christmas lights for downtown. The garland on each of the poles with the red ribbon. No lights to it because there's enough lights downtown, and the garland has kind of a gold tinsel in it, I guess, for lack of better terms, gold flecks and stuff, so that it reflects the light a lot, so that there's no need for electrical lights in them. The proposal that we came up with was to do all the poles on Broadway. I don't remember now, 67 poles, I believe, gave us 2 extra in case something happened to them. Which the total cost, if we have to, Debbie, correct me, is May 31st the deadline, or is it June 7th or something like that?
June 15th.
June 15th, okay. To get this rate, this is saving like about $3,000, I think, if I remember right. So $7,146.89 was the total. The Convention and Tourism would like your permission to spend up to $3,600, which is approximately half of this, to help pay for that. The up to being, we were looking for a few donations, and if we could get some donations, maybe split what was left in half between the city, whatever fund that comes out of, and the Convention and Tourism Fund. But if we don't get any donations, then the $3,600 would be paying for half of it out of the Convention and Tourism funds.
So, question. Go ahead. There's a few of the decorative lights on US 36 here. We do decorate them with the current ones. Will there be enough of this design left to, because your page says Broadway.
Broadway.
Does that include the few that's on Center Street or not?
When we started this process, we've had multiple meetings. We decided we needed to do this in sections, you know, a 3-year plan, a 5-year plan, and to make it affordable for everybody. The plan for year 1 was to do just Broadway. The highway, whatever's on them now, I couldn't even tell you. You know,
there's not that many.
Whatever is on there now is on there. Maybe some of the stuff that's come off of Broadway could go on there this year, and then maybe next year we could buy all of this to do the highway poles.
Because there's only like 10 or 11 poles on 36 of the decorative poles. That's why I was wondering, if we're getting such a great deal, why not kick it in now, buy it all, and be done with the project?
Then we'd have some that are decorated one way on the highway. All the ones on Broadway, whether the poles are, the black poles or not, we're doing all the same.
Right.
And so we thought that next year we'd do the highway all the same, irrespective of what the poles look like. Isn't that what we kind of talked about? I mean, we decided this is probably going to be a 3-year project. So we started out with,
because we've also discussed the 7th Street corridor also.
Yeah, and we wanted to put some at the Pony Express statue, add something at that park. That's another year down or so down the road. So if you did just the decorative lights, then it wouldn't be consistent on the highway. You'd have it even.
The highway's not consistent anyway.
Okay.
It's not with the utility poles and everything on the south side. I mean, it isn't.
I know. I mean, the consensus of the group that was meeting was, you know, focus on Broadway for this year, and then next year we'll work on the highway and see how consistent we can get it.
I'm sure they'll have this same thing if we opt to put it on. The reason why we put these, though, I think it was Debbie's idea, that there's so much light on the black lights that we don't need to put lights on here. I don't know if that was also be true on Center Street, on the poles that we're going to decorate.
I was going to ask, how easy or difficult are these to put up? They look pretty easy.
Very simple.
Are they rigid or are they loose?
No, they're loose, just like any garland you buy at any store. And they, what did Debbie, you know, you could probably tell me better.
They have, I asked if we needed to get zip ties or how they mount, and they actually, they extend the wire out so that you can curl it on the top, and then you just wrap the garland around, and then it has an extra wire on the bottom to wrap around.
So they aren't at risk of getting blown off.
And they're durable. They're durable.
Yeah, Kent Borgman was involved in this to make sure that his crew was willing and able to do these, because that was my concern is, you know, this is a lot more work for you guys, and he goes, oh, no, we won't have any problems, so.
What's to become of the old decorations?
Well, they haven't surrendered anything yet. We thought about trading them in at one point, and then we decided not to. And we're going to keep them.
I think it's still an option if we decide to.
We're going to keep and decide what everything looks like next year, and then decide what to buy next year, and then maybe possibly sell some. But I don't think we have any to sell any this year, do we?
No.
Trade in?
No, yeah, we could either trade them in or sell them to another town. after next year probably.
Some of them look pretty beat up when you go, they're down in the water department hanging up, and some of them are pretty beat up.
The ones that got hit by trucks.
Yeah, well, those are, yeah. So you know.
So this is the continuing effort to make Marysville the
Christmas destination.
Destination,
Yeah, part of it, yes.
So how do you guys feel about the city paying for half, and where do you think it would come from?
There's only one place it can come from.
Well, it could come from special parks. Because we did last time, just remember we have that $1,700 credit from those fireworks that we sold?
That's true.
So, you know, we have a little cushion right there because of that.
It is appropriate, though.
Yeah.
Of course, that's your liquor tax, Vicki. Are you okay with that?
Well, I have a question.
Okay. You're possessive over that.
You know, I was just kidding about that when I mentioned that at workshop.
Okay.
Okay. On the Convention and Tourism Committee request for funds, amount requested is up to $3,600. Now, they're considering that their share, and we would be, as a city, would be kicking in another $3,600 after I'm reading that?
Yeah.
And then you're taking donations, but donations, didn't you say that?
No, we were looking into possibly a donation to help pay for the lights, because the last time the city got lights, there was a donation from the Halvering Trust, or the Guy Swerve Trust, one of them. And if we were able to get some money through that, then whatever the balance was, say they kicked in and there was only $5,000 left, then we would pay half the $5,000 out of Convention and Tourism, and then the other half would come out of whatever fund.
Okay.
Approximately half of whatever's left, whether we get any donations or not, but, so if we get no donations, it's $3,600 would be paying for about half.
Okay, so if we find funds someplace else, then what you're saying is we split those funds between travel and tourism and city, right?
Right.
Okay.
It'd still be 50-50 split.
Okay, right, I want to clarify. Well, that was my question.
You guys like them? I think they'll look nice down Center Street.
I think considering...
I'm not a Christmas person, so.
Oh, ball humbug.
Yeah.
Well,
Considering how we present
two
ourselves.
extra be enough extras?
Where are you going to put them?
Hopefully they're durable. We don't need to replace them right
I mean,
away.
with the last time, when did we buy the last one? 06? Yeah. Does that sound right?
Say it's been a long time.
Yeah, like 10 years, so we hope that they're durable for 10 years.
The ones he had here that day, they were very durable.
So you've seen them in person?
Yes. He brought them in, showed us how to do them. Then
And we asked him about the red bows, about them fading, and I don't remember what he said, but pretty much they're not going to fade for a long time. I don't remember why.
Crunched up, I guess, if they put them in a box or anything.
Well, they hang them up down there.
Oh, they hang them up,
at the
okay.
sewer department. They have made racks and they hang them all up. I mean, they do the best they can to protect those Christmas decorations. I have to give them a lot of credit.
They don't bleed in the rain?
No.
I'm making the motion to approve the $3,600 max for the city share of the Christmas decorations to come out of the special parks
and rec fund.
Parks and Rec fund.
I second it.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
7-1. Okay. As long as you're here, or can we discuss?
I think it says oud on here too.
Yeah.
Am I supposed to talk
Yeah.
about it? I didn't
Oh,
know that,
okay.
but I can.
Okay, well, you go ahead and talk about that.
I guess there was a request for funds to give it was $5,000 to Orchestra on the Oregon Trail. Last year, the Convention and Tourism sponsored them with a $3,000 cash sponsorship plus $2,000 of, they used 502 Media resources for a lot of things coming out of what we had already paid. So in essential, it was a $5,000 donation, but we're not using 502 Media this year, so they would request that $5,000 come out of Convention and Tourism to go support the orchestra on the Oregon Trail. It has a lot of people come to town, and
it does.
I'll move to approve the $5,000 out of Convention and Tourism to support orchestra on the Oregon Trail.
Second.
Come out of the transient guest house.
Transient guest house.
Okay. Second. Any further discussion?
Question.
Yes.
Do I, as a part of that group that's organizing, do I need to abstain from the vote?
Oh, you probably can't abstain.
Huh?
You don't profit.
I don't profit from it? Okay, all right.
Unless you need to tell us something.
Are you part of the person requesting, you're not in the group of requesting money, getting donations, are you?
Well, I'm on the committee I'm on the steering committee, so I guess I'm part of the leadership group on that.
I would abstain.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against?
Aye.
6,
Abstain.
1, and 1. All right. And I was going to bring up about the website that's in the consent agenda.
Okay.
It's on page 41 to 45 in the packet, but the recommendation you guys gave was to pay $600 for that website,
For
hosting the website. And we talked to Scott today, and he said that the city only pays $160.
I agree.
And then
I'll tell you, this is what they talked about, was that this was the proposal from 502 who built the website for them. And their vote was to use them for a year to make sure everything was working fine and then go somewhere else, because it was discussed and brought up that there was other places to go that did not cost as much.
Well, I noticed that the way it said, your comment was that for the maintenance as well, and the maintenance is at $108 an hour. But you said that you want $600 to come from so if anything above that would come to the city.
Any expenses would come out of convention tourism. Over beyond that, I would hope for $600 a year that there would not be any other expenses.
That's not what it says.
Websites are expensive to operate and maintain, I will say that.
It's pretty simple.
Well, that was a question of mine anyway, when I looked through this on page 45, talking about fees and billing cycle. Besides the $600, the first thing under additional services is Google Apps email for work setup is $100. And I'm just wondering if there's any more things like this that, that we need to be aware of.
They would not do anything, I guess I should say, without our permission.
Well, this is on the
media. Additional.
On this, on page 43, where it says changes to the website, it says at the discretion of 502 Media.
We'll be doing all the changes to the website.
Okay.
As far as adding anything.
Okay.
It's a lot of money. I agree with you guys. It's a lot of money.
Yeah, just compare it to the city's website.
So it's up to you guys whether they should sign that contract or not, or go somewhere else.
Okay, we can
send it back to them.
You guys have any questions?
We can save $500. I don't know why we don't use someone else to do this. We know that somebody else has that capability.
I think we need to send them back to them and have them look for
other hosting site?
Right.
Okay.
Smart.
The other one isn't a big thing on the consent agenda, so we might not approve that. Do you guys have any other questions for Brenda at this time?
No.
Thank you for coming.
I will tell them that. Thank you.
All right. The resolution for renaming a private street.
Move to approve resolution 2016-06.
Second.
Discussion?
Everybody up the terrace has signed the paper saying that they are do not have a problem with changing it. Originally, when that road was built years ago, it used to be a private drive. It was named the terrace. I don't see a problem with it going back to a drive, so we can align the terrace up with 11th Terrace like it should be in the county plat.
And it'll still be a private drive where we don't have to maintain it, correct?
That's correct. Yep.
Okay. Just what was your discussion? I'm sorry, Vicki. Did you have discussion?
Yeah, I did. Thank you. 11th Terrace to 11th Drive. The purpose of changing it at all is why?
If you go south across the field,
right,
it's a terrace that goes south down by what used to be Doug Park's. Minehart's down there. That is 11th Terrace. It's set through there. It is actually the halfway, the 50, or the halfway mark going through the mile.
Between 11th
Center of the
Road,
section.
12th Road.
Okay.
Between 11th and 12th.
But there's nothing that connects the two.
No, but if you get south, there is an 11th Terrace that
Okay,
goes
and
down.
it's called Terrace, so why are you changing it to Drive?
We're not.
Because by by Subway, that's 11th Terrace too.
That should be.
So there's parallel 11th Terraces.
Okay, okay. All right, I see.
And this only affects the private houses, no businesses.
3 houses.
3 houses.
3 houses and no businesses.
And there's no sign there right now. I don't
there
know. Is there 11th Terrace sign?
No. No.
For the old 11th Terrace?
Oh, the old 11th. No, sorry. There's a private drive there.
Private roads being
It
marked?
says private road.
That's what it
There
says.
is
Yeah.
a sign there.
I think we'll probably just order a sign and put it up.
Okay.
There is a sign there that says 11th, private drive.
Doesn't the post office have a say in this?
Not really.
We assign addresses.
They'll have to change it in their system.
All these people are within our city limits.
Yeah.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? 8-0. All right. I would entertain a motion to recess the city council meeting at this time.
Madam Mayor, I move that recess council meeting at this time.
Second.
And we'll call to order the Public Building Commission, and we'll do roll call.
Is there a vote on the first motion?
Oh, there to recess?
Second.
Was there a second? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are recessed. Now I'll call to order the Public Building Commission. Roll call, please.
Eichmann.
Yes.
Biesinger.
Yes.
Boss. Present. Ekis.
Present.
Fry.
Present.
Gross.
Present.
Schroller.
Present.
Braun.
Present.
We have quorum.
All right, and there is expense there for the audit payment of $400 out of this fund. Entertain a motion.
Madam Mayor, I move that we pay Reese Navali, our city audit, $400 for audit payments.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 8-0. I would move to adjourn the PBC. I would entertain a motion to adjourn the PBC.
Madam Mayor, I move that we adjourn the Public Building Commission.
Is there a second? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That meeting is adjourned and we'll resume the regular order of business. I am not aware of any notices and hearings. Anybody? And the consent agenda is up. I would entertain a motion based on our previous discussion on what you want to approve there.
Madam Mayor, on consent agenda, I move that we only do option number 1, convention tourism pay request of the Marysville Advocate for $27.
I second it.
And send the other request back?
Send request number 2 back to them.
Okay, to convention tourism. Okay, who was the second?
I did.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 8-0. Will you let convention tourism know that? All right. Next item is the presentation of appropriations ordinance number 3627.
Move to approve appropriations ordinance number 3627.
Second.
Okay, Debbie. I remembered roll call.
Got discussion.
Discussion?
Oh, discussion.
Discussion.
I was so proud of myself. I remembered roll call. Yes.
I had issues with some items. I have issue with the Commerce Bank bill, the Longford Water, the Uline bill, and the Zoll Medical Corp.
Now, are you pulling those out, or you just want to discuss them?
Well, whatever I need to do, I have some issues with them. Do I need to pull them so we can approve the rest of the
how many did you have?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay.
Do you want to discuss them?
Do you believe that for your...
If somebody can tell me what these are and why they are, and if they're okay with everybody, then I'd be okay with passing them. but I just had some questions that, I'm on the Finance Committee, and I came in and looked these over this afternoon, and I had questions that I couldn't get answers to, and I'd just like to know what we're paying for.
Okay, why don't you go over them and we'll say.
Okay, under the Commerce Bank, that's our credit cards. There was a charge in there for police department placemats. We paid $289.71 for 250 placemats, which makes them $1.09 each. Why are we paying $1? Why are we paying for $250 placemats at $1.09 each? What are they? What were they for?
Do you know, Debbie? Are they DARE related?
Something like that.
Are they disposable? $1.09 each?
Do you know which fund they came out of?
We would have been on the police department.
Just out of the general fund?
I just don't want to prove something I don't know what it's for.
So it's a placemat.
Placemat is...
Cindy, you know anything about them?
I think they were just placemats, like what you put on the table, and they came right out of the general fund. You just approved the supply of dog food. So I don't know what they used. They was like paper placemats.
Paper placemats.
Well, so $289 for 250, I think we should have been able to get that for about $10. I'm just, $289.
There has to be something unique about them. I don't know what it would be, but...
It says police department on them, I know that's what the invoice says.
It says police department.
Okay.
So you want to resolve that by saying that we need to have Debbie ask the chief not to do an expenditure of that nature without justifying it? I mean, what do you want to do?
If this is disposable, I mean, I don't know why the police would be buying $250 worth of placemats that they have to wash and whatever, but $1.09 for paper placemats each, $289 for paper placemats, if that's what they are, and to me, that's an outrageous expenditure.
I agree.
Okay.
So we'll just, do those come by you or come by Cindy? Or do you know before he charged these, right? Just bring it to his attention that we were not
justifies
happy.
common sense to me.
Okay.
Okay, and then another one on that same Commerce Bank, we sent Todd Ackerman, or we didn't send him, he went to a FBI conference in Memphis, was it?
Lita.
Lita, okay. On that was baggage fees of $60 going and $60 coming home, that's $120. I was discussing this with Councilwoman Boss, and she went to Europe and carried one bag for 2 weeks. And my question is, if this is excess, I think this came up like last year, and my question was, is this golf clubs? And if it is, then I think...
they're not golf clubs.
Okay. Well, I'd just like to know, I think when you're spending somebody else's money, and everything that we spend in this city is somebody else's money, it belongs to the taxpayers, and I think that we should be really prudent about how we spend it. And if this is a matter of convenience and not being prudent about spending this money, then I think we need to question this bill. I don't know what airline was flown. I haven't flown in a long time. I don't know if you can pack one bag, and then if you pack one and carry one, and then the third bag is, you have to pay extra, $60 for extra.
Almost every airline you have to pay for any bag now. And they limit you so much on what you can carry on that if you're going to carry, especially if you're going to try to carry on something like a suit, or, especially gear or pants or shoe. I mean, it doesn't take very long to fill that up. I've tried.
Well, this is something that I'm questioning.
Sure.
And the problem is if you go to, and sometimes they may be the cheapest ticket. So Southwest may not charge you for baggage, but they're not always the cheapest ticket.
It's just another way for them to
net
raise ticket prices without raising the face value of the ticket.
Yeah.
So you're real concerned that it wasn't golf clubs though, right?
Yeah, I just want to make sure it's not something that could have been left behind.
A personal item.
A personal item? Yeah.
Okay. I'm guessing golf clubs have been more than 60. I tried to ship going, but yeah.
Okay. All right, and then on that same credit card, there was a closed back black tablecloth for $195. And this was purchased by the police department. And then there was a carrying case, I assume, for the black tablecloth at $25. So that's over $200 for a black tablecloth. for the police department. Don't understand it.
That's exactly what it was.
A tablecloth?
Tablecloth?
So I don't know if it's something they use for the table they set up, or like at the Black Squirrel Night, those kinds of things.
Display.
Well, I'm sorry, Leona Helmsley. Go to
That's what I'm
Walmart.
trying to say. A display table maybe. I don't know. I mean, it's something like that.
Again, not prudent when you're spending somebody else's money. Then there's a charge from Fastenal that was in the bills, and that was 3x5 floor mats, 2 of them for $146.22. 3 foot by 5 foot. 3 foot by 5 foot.
Are those for the new,
Those are floor mats that go across both sides.
are they the new trucks?
You can't buy those for
New
$20.
Explorers?
3x5 floor mat.
Oh, they're floor mats for the boys.
Door mats.
That's the
Door
size right
mats.
there.
I'm sorry.
Floor mats.
Floor mats.
It says floor mats on the bill.
Right.
But it's like that size right over there at that door.
Yeah,
$75 each, really?
yeah, yeah.
To get ones that
That's
aren't
cheap.
gonna fall apart quick.
That's not bad.
That's cheap.
No.
That one out there in the foyer, that was about a $700 mat. That one that's got the pony on it, that was about a $700 or $800 mat.
You can get ones cheaper, but they're gonna wear out real fast, especially if you're, big guys walking around on.
All right, you can justify that then. Okay, then the next one was Langford Water, and that's $288 for bottles of water at the pool. That works out to be 30 cents a bottle, where we can go to Walmart and buy them for 9.6 cents a piece. 960 bottles were purchased. And
Why they do
paid
that? Why they don't just buy it at Walmart?
They have their labels on, I think.
That has the custom label from Marysville.
But I don't think we need custom labels at the pool.
These are,
Was it for the pool?
yeah, it was for the pool.
Okay, she bought them last year.
We're not talking a
I thought they
koozie.
bought cups. They were supposed to buy some fancy cups that we bought them,
That
didn't
was for the lifeguard.
They sell it.
For the lifeguard?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, they're selling.
But the key
These are
thing,
for sale, so we can recoup that.
but we don't want it to, okay, our concession stand is not breaking even. Remember? We're losing money on our concession stand. So we need to make sense with our purchases in our concession stand, which is where this water's going.
Right.
So I think just buy cheap Walmart water.
Buy the water, put it in the cooler there, and you can buy it for, well, I rounded that up to 10 cents cost. If they sell it for $1, it'd be a 90% profit on each bottle, where if they bought it for 30 cents and sold it for $1, that's only 70 cents profit. The difference would be $864 if they bought it at 9.6 cents a bottle, and if they sold it for $1, it'd be an $864 profit, minus the $672 profit it'd be if they paid 30 cents a bottle, so it'd be an extra $192 that we would make for that same
Okay.
bottle of water.
I'll put two things out there to be devil's advocate, if nothing else. One, I don't think we should necessarily micromanage the concession stand. Second, I just assumed the money went to Longford, Kansas, which is a neighboring county, as Arkansas. And that's all I got to say about that.
I'd just as soon it stay in the pockets of Marysville
Well,
citizens.
it doesn't, because you're gonna sell the water. It doesn't
Yeah, we're gonna
actually
sell
say
it.
about. So let's mark it up 20 cents. I mean, who gives a crap? It's the way I look at it.
Well, I do want the concession stand to break
I do
even.
too, but I don't care if Walmart gets the money or not. I mean, these are better bottles. They're probably better water.
They're not putting it in their pocket and taking it home, or they're not going to keep it on a shelf somewhere. It's not a keepsake. It's a plastic bottle. They're going to drink out of it and throw it in the trash.
Well, hopefully they recycle it. But yes.
They're not.
I'm just saying that to put the other side of it, but frankly, we're also micromanaging a little bit. Why are they buying Oreos? They could be buying High Drops.
We need to be micromanaging. We're losing. We started
Yeah,
out
but that's
losing
why we have a manager.
$7,000 for
That's why we-
70 days
no.
of pool opening.
Do we hire a manager? Why don't we just not have a manager and we can each take a kind of food and we can manage that?
Well, if we're going to lose $7,000, why don't we just stand at the door and hand each kid $5
It's
to go
not
buy
losing
yourself
it,
a
it's providing a
sandwich?
service for the community. Just because you don't use it doesn't mean other people don't
I
appreciate
do
it.
use
Okay. Let us, yes.
The coloring placemats are for children's events, and the tablecloth is for events with the police department logo on the front. It's a display table cover.
Okay.
And if Brenda was here, She can tell you that's a reasonable price, that's about what the chamber paid for theirs.
Yeah, and they could have gone around the corner to Identities, which I brought up the last time we had this particular incident. They could have walked a half a block down to Identities, and I went in there and asked them how much they would charge for the exact same table runner that the Chamber of Commerce paid $300 for.
I'm sorry, we didn't ask your permission.
They'd paid $60.
You asked what they were for, I got your answer.
Thank you, I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
Okay, okay. Vic, you have anything else? I think they should buy cheap water, but...
I agree with that.
It's water at the pool that they're going to throw away, the bottle. They're not taking it home as a keepsake.
It's not a tourism advertisement type thing.
They buy it at the pool, they throw it away at the pool. Go ahead.
Okay, the next one is Uline. It was for the pool as well, and it was for 60 general purpose hand pads for $327.84. I don't know what a general purpose hand pad is.
Those are the scrubbers.
Handicap restrooms.
Gutters out with.
It says for the handicap restrooms?
It says men's handicap restroom, authorized personnel.
That's a sign.
Those are specifically for the gutters? You know that?
I think they're scrubbers for the gutters.
The scrubbers for the gutters.
Those stainless steel gutters?
That might be important.
Okay. And then Zoll Medical Corporation, we paid $85.28 for lithium batteries. That was also at the pool. You know what that's for?
For the batteries in the AED. Lithium batteries are that expensive.
Okay, is that the shock thing?
That's a shock machine, yeah.
Okay, and I have a question about that. I really want to know everybody's opinion on this. What they're talking about, we have two of those clear, to bring somebody's heart back. We have an adult one and we have one for babies.
They go on the same machine.
Well, they told me they were separate, that the babies thing was separate, and that's what this lithium pack, I think. They had to have it separate. Okay, here is my concern, and Craig, I'm glad you're here. What kind of liability do we have when we are using our pool personnel to shock a baby? To use one of those on a baby?
You can't shock a baby.
Well, that's what this was for, I was told.
No, it's for infants.
Okay, infants.
There's specific guidelines that are set out by American Red Cross. Certain ages use this.
Okay.
Somebody 12 and under, you cannot use
an adult
at all.
Yeah.
It's like first aid and CPR. You're not liable if you try and bring somebody back.
Right.
You're not?
Nope.
So we have no liability if we're going to use one of those machines on an infant?
I'm not sure I know the answer to that question.
I just think that's an awful liability. I think that's an awful liability.
Bill seemed pretty confident there.
I assume that there's
after years of CPR training and and they got an AED right across the street, and it's open to anybody that has a heart attack. And one of the first things they tell you, you are not liable trying to bring somebody back.
Falls under the Kansas Good Samaritan Act.
If you're doing CPR and you quit, that opens up another door. But you're not liable trying to save somebody's life.
Okay, that was my concern.
Thank you, Bill, for your legal advice.
Thank you.
If you find anything contrary to that, let us know.
I'll let you know. I assume that the people at the pool are trained.
Yes, they are.
Okay, Vic, did we get through them all?
Yeah.
I do want to say thank you for going through the expenditures and analyzing them so that we know that you really are auditing them. You and Darlene, I find you in here every day before the meeting, so we do appreciate you going through them. Is there anything you want pulled at this point based on the discussion that was made?
No, I just pretty much wanted it brought to light, and if anybody has any better ideas, I mean, if you think that that's what a mat should cost is, $45, $75 for a floor mat, and we should pay $195 for a black tablecloth and $25 for a case to carry it in, if y'all are okay with these expenditures. The water, again, I think that we should not...
We're going to buy cheap water.
We should buy cheap water, and I don't think we should be buying ice to put into a bucket. I don't think we should have to see that, to put into a bucket to stick the bottles in to keep them cold.
We have coolers
down there. Yeah.
We have coolers. And we have a door now between the lifeguard, between the two stations, so they should just be able to use the coolers.
Right.
Okay, so you're okay with this?
I'm okay with that then, if you're
okay.
Thank you.
Now we'll do roll call.
Blackman?
Yes.
Basinger?
Yes.
Voss?
Yes.
Bekes?
Yes.
Fry?
Sure.
Gross?
Yes.
Controller?
Yes.
From?
Yes.
All right.
0.
We got through those. Okay, Rick, you're up.
Have bids on the flush tank project, 2 bidders, HRS Construction and Amino Brothers Construction. The low bid was $79,000 from AHRS. The Amino bid was $116,095. And Tony Deaver's engineer's recommendation and the bid tabulation are attached. And the recommendation is to accept the low bid from AHRS and authorize the mayor to sign the agreements. The funding was approved on April 11th from the sewage replacement fund.
Move to approve the low bid of $79,000 from AHRS Construction on the flush tank project.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 8-0. All right.
And I just wanted to do an update on the Scottwood bid, and there's a little revision on it, a little more clarity on the actual application routes. That's on the paper in front of you. I don't think any action's needed on this. You guys approved it. The price went down about a ½ cent. Last meeting approved it not to exceed $1.08. It went down to $1.075. Just wanted you to be aware of the quantities and the final cost on this. Any questions?
Have they started any of it?
No. No, I got to get this, I got to sign this and get it into them, then get it scheduled.
I did notice that they graded, the street department graded those roads though in preparation for it.
Well, I graded it because the roads just needed grading.
Well, I know,
That was
but-
part of it, yes. We may have to do it again depending on how far out the schedule,
I just read in the weekly reports that they graded the roads.
Madam Mayor, have whoever grades the road been made aware that once this treatment's been put down, they are not to grade the roads again?
I've talked with Bob Connell, he knows the procedure, he was on the commission long enough, he knows you can't grade, so yes, he knows that. I spoke with him last week.
Okay. And, but you know, when we approved this, I don't think we said what fund it was coming out of.
Yeah, it is.
It was in sales tax? I didn't think it was in the motion.
Might have been. We can do it again if you want.
All right. On page 3, where we voted on dust control, it didn't say what fund it was coming out of.
Maybe when Carol came in, it did.
So you guys want to make a motion as where it's going to come out of? Go for it, Kev, you're smiling.
Madam Mayor, dust controlling from Scottwood Industries, I move that we take the $6,869.25 be out of sales tax.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 8-0, thank you very much.
And I have a document here from Farmers Alliance, which is the bonding insurance agents for inline construction. They're seeking an update on completion, and I had provided them information last year that final completion acceptance would be in the spring of 2016, which is where we're at now. And so I just wanted to run this by the council, make sure we've got it on record for project acceptance, so I send this in. And as I state here on my report, I talked with Tony about the ditch situation, and he felt that those washouts were not the fault of inline because they had done what they were supposed to do in heavy rains. Just wash it away every time they fixed it, wash it away. And short of putting some kind of some expensive ditch liner in there with anchors, any dirt and grass improvement's going to continue to wash away. And Tony felt that maybe with the possibility of improving the road in the next year or so, it would be an inefficient means to spend a lot of dollars on a ditch, since it would be improved with the road upgrade.
Provided we do that.
Right.
Great.
Wasn't there supposed to be some kind of seeding done this spring?
Well, and they did it.
They did it.
They did it.
When did
They've
they
done
do
it
it?
twice. They've done it twice.
When did they do it?
They were here this spring and did it. And it looked nice.
It did.
I mean, it looked nice.
Now it's
That big
rugged.
4-inch rain just took it all away.
Took it all out. Was a nice fine growth on it, and it just...
And you're getting, the grass is coming back on the back side of the ditch and on some of the front side of the ditch. It's just the very bottom of the ditch.
The thing I like about
Where
it,
you're not
though,
getting the
there is a defined
channel now.
channel now, and it is at the bottom of the ditch. I mean, it's not,
It's on solid rock.
yeah, it's not running up on the road. It is well-defined channel of the ditch now, down in
That's
the
because all
bedrock.
that rock washed out,
Yeah.
right?
I see the city went out there and cleaned some of that rock out in front of them tubes down there.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and I was concerned that if that was our responsibility, but I guess we
But
cleaned
it
it
is
up.
well-defined.
It is well-defined.
It's not cutting into the road or anything, and it's where it needs to stay.
All right, so you guys okay with him to sign that?
I'd like to have it on the record if we could, please, just accept, final acceptance.
Madam Mayor, move we accept the final project from Inline Construction on the 11th Street project.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 8-0.
All right, thank you. Fourth item, floodplain appeal. There's no pages on this one. I just received an email from Dane Bailey last week. He said, just touching base, Olson's completed their review, and we have submitted the final appeal to FEMA for review. They could have some questions, and I'll let you know if there's any delay or problems, but my feeling is that we will get you a resolution letter in the next couple of weeks. At that point, the appeal would be complete, and the revisions will be incorporated into the mapping. Hope to have this wrapped up as soon as possible, so that's the latest.
Is that a good sign? It says
Yes.
incorporated into the mapping, you would believe that they're making the changes, right?
Yes.
That's how
Yeah,
you...
once they do that, they incorporate that into the revised floodplain map.
Okay, so hopefully we'll clear everybody out.
Yeah.
That's good news.
Yes, it is. And then on the Transportation Alternative Grant Programming form, you had the right email, you had the wrong form, and so there's a cute little double-sided form here. This is one, somehow the one for the school got in there was not supposed to be there. I don't know how I got it sent there, but because that one was just copied to me, but at least you know the school got theirs too. So they have the same type of form we do, but basically, this is the same form I think we had on our GI project. We had to sign one of these. Without this signed, they won't program it into the state, so need authorization for the mayor to sign the request.
The one specifically for the
Yes.
pedestrian
Yes,
crossing.
not the one that's in the electronic agenda packet, but this one here that's in front of you.
I move to allow the mayor to sign the transportation alternative project for the school lighting project on South 10th Street.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 8-0.
That's all I have, Mayor.
All right, I just had two quick questions. Did you find out if they had that hail damage to that red building for this water and sewer department?
Well, the inspector was out last week. We haven't had a final.
You haven't heard anything yet? Okay. And so the Custer House grant, so Roy Haney, so it doesn't matter whether they give us the money back. We just have to have everything filed by month end. Is that correct?
No, I don't think so. Just had to be pretty much complete, and I think it will be. If it doesn't rain all week long, they should finish up. They're just about done. They just had a final coat of paint.
But I thought-
we're going to hold the check until they have finished and giving me the pictures.
But as far as filing the money with the trust, the grant, Heritage Trust Fund,
That would have had to have been filed by May 30th.
May
yes.
30th, so
Which has been done.
the final one
No,
to close it out?
no. I haven't received anything back on number 5, which was submitted on April 14th.
But, okay.
And then submitted one last week. That one, number 6, that went in would bring us up to our max vouch.
And I thought you said we had to file that it was completed, close it out in their perspective.
Well, yeah, it eventually has to be, it has to be closed out. if
By
all the work's
you.
done. Well,
By the 31st?
no, I don't think the 31st is a closeout date. That's just their cutoff date for any reimbursement.
So we've met
But
the cutoff date.
We've met that because number 6 that was sent in, we're not going to get everything back
We've met
because
the
it exceeds the
87,000.
87,000.
Okay.
Like that.
Okay.
But I'll still send in the report and these expenses for Hanny's portion, their final portion, because they have to report to the state the total project cost. So I'll still do it as if we're getting reimbursement, we're just not getting it for it.
Okay.
And then once they do that, then we have to do some closeout. And then eventually sometime, and it's probably going to be a few months, they'll send the reimbursement
Money's back, and then
for
we-
the withholding that they have, which is going to be $8,000 to $10,000.
And then there'll be tax credits out there yet, right?
That's another program, and that takes a while to get that done. That's a whole separate deal.
And we don't have a deadline for that.
No deadline on that.
All right, anything else?
No.
Miss Debbie, do you have anything?
Not tonight, thank you.
All right, standing committee, street, we talked about, when we were doing streets, we skipped the one in front of, at Mayor's on 12th Street, you know, we were
That
saying.
last 400 feet up there.
Yeah, and so this is the real problem with that, is that they went in and they ripped out all the bad asphalt. So they kind of did it halfway. I mean, now they've taken it out.
We need to go back.
So, but, you know, before they go and put more asphalt there, I'd really like to know the drainage is right. To have somebody in and come and take a look at it.
Well, he curbed what, the east side or west side of that?
He curbed the west side.
And as I understand, that portion has never been officially a street in front of Mayor's house.
It is.
Is it
It's platted? It's platted right of way.
Okay,
We paid taxes on it for many, many years because we weren't using it as a street.
But it hasn't been finished as a street with a base and...
No, it has not been.
And then assessed back to the...
That's correct.
To the owner.
Yes, it was never improved. What you would call improved. Improved street is curb and gutter and paving. So we went in, put down a good rock base using some of that rock that we had at the airport.
You think it does have a good rock base?
Not as good as what we do if we were.
It's not great.
It's better than most of our bases and a lot of our chip and sealed streets that we used that CKD dirt that we had left over from the airport, which is a good base, but right there where the water's washing,
it's spongy. It's spongy there.
It's spongy because the water sits there.
Yeah.
So do we need a drainage there?
There's a drainage issue there that needs to be done before we
put more asphalt on it.
Do something with the street.
You either raise the east side, you get it to slope,
so it flows across,
or you go underground and you don't have a lot of fall. And there is, I believe, a drainage easement, but the problem is the drainage easement isn't where the water flows. It's where the two properties join, and that's not where the water flows. It comes there it comes there at the bottom of Lynn's Hill and goes across at an angle, finally over to the ditch there. So you'd have to have additional easement, some kind of a tube. Wouldn't have to be very big, I suppose, but you'd have to have some area drains.
I just think we have to have somebody look at the drainage before we put new asphalt down, so.
I think so too.
I'll talk to Tony.
Have them decide what we should do first before, okay, Tony? Since you're still here, we might as well see our direction.
I'd asked him to stay for some discussion on the 11th Road.
Oh, you knew we were going to discuss that, Tony? All right. Anything else you want to discuss? Okay, so we'll just look at the drainage before we put the asphalt down. That's all I want to know, is that it's gonna, we don't have to reapply this asphalt every year. I don't want to do that. Okay, anybody else on the street?
Yeah, I had a resident of Hometown Drive out south of Hometown Lumber complain a little bit about the street. Besides the fact that it's kind of breaking up like the ones in Keystone Edition, he wanted me to come out and take a look, and I did, and it's just kind of disintegrating. The sand is all coming out of the concrete. Now, I'm not a concrete expert, but I'd say maybe there was a mixing problem.
It was.
And it's after a heavy rainfall where the water pools, it's just a big pile of sand. It's like a small beach.
Are you talking about that like 10 housing development?
The horseshoe that kind of comes off of 12th Road.
How come we we accepted streets that were inferior streets? Why? How come we did that?
We have never had any kind of an official permitting process or inspection process for streets in subdivisions.
Well, I think we should.
I don't disagree with you, but the council has never desired to have that.
Because because they put in, this is, you know, we have these developments at the streets, now there are streets, and they're not, they should hold up 20 years if they're cement, and they don't.
It should be 50 years.
Now, how old is that street? Maybe 10 years old? 10 years old?
15.
Is it that old?
Yeah.
They're 2 inches.
Still looks
And
older
we
than that.
require, what, 6?
Yeah.
And when we take these, we take them after they've been, the developer is saving a whole lot of money by pouring streets 2 inches.
There's more than 2 inches of
Well,
concrete out there.
yeah, I'll be surprised to get out there and see that. You go out there and see where those are all breaking up. Well, they'll last a couple years until they've, you know, sold the lots and the houses are built. Well, then when the moving vans come in and the trash trucks drive through there, then, of course, the streets this thick are not going to hold up. So then they collapse and everybody right away wants the streets fixed, and we have to go in, and in effect, we can't patch those streets. We'll have to lay whole sections of new street down there. They're inferior.
And the person who talked to me, he said, well, who do I go after? The developer, it's too long, it's on the city now, and what are you gonna do, sort of thing, and I don't know, what are we gonna do?
Are we just stuck with that, Craig?
With the maintenance? I think they're stuck.
Well, so.
Replacement.
Replacement.
Yeah,
Right,
it's
more than
gonna-
maintenance.
Terribly.
Yeah, it'll be replacement. There's no way to maintain what's left there.
Just need to cut sections
So
out.
if the
and
developer
pour.
doesn't build, so it's a problem is we don't have a code that they have to build to? Is that what you're saying, Rick? We don't give them a code they have to build to?
We have, yes, we have standards in our subdivision.
What's the
regulations.
teeth to enforce the standards?
Nobody inspects them. We don't inspect anything, but I think you told me what? Water and gas? Water and gas, that's all. We don't inspect streets.
We do electric inspections and gas inspections, and nothing else.
Water and sewer.
And water.
Well, water and sewer taps, but because we do most of those. We inspect gas hookups and electric hookups, but that's only to make sure pass the tests and it's in compliance with what Westar requires or with Kansas Gas requires. But over the years, we've dealt with this problem for years, is that it's a full-time job or more for one person to go out and do all this.
Hire.
Yeah, well, it's more than justifiable when we have to put new streets in these developments, though.
Oh, we haven't had anybody because we haven't had developments like this for a very long time. All of a sudden, we're having developments.
Last year, they replaced a section of Ashbury Lane by Carol Walker's house. Who replaced that?
We did.
I was gonna say.
City did it.
We replaced a section.
Lock, stock, and barrel.
We replaced a section at the same time
I thought
over
maybe
by
assistance with it.
Dave Peschel's too.
Right. Yeah.
Was that out at the same development?
Same development.
The other side.
On the other side over there.
The west.
So we don't have any recourse with the developer?
At this point, probably very limited, if none at all. But you tackle it on the front end.
Well, I imagine they're gonna at some point want to build more street out there. Should we, can we put something in place now, or can we change the rules in the middle of the development, maybe? I mean, before more streets go in.
One method to enforce is before, when you have a subdivision, yeah, we have a street standard, but you would need to require, well, the best enforcement is you require the developer to post a bond for the street improvements. And the bond needs to be good for a certain period of time. And if they don't put it in right, that's what the bond is for. There's several different kinds of bonds.
So why haven't we done this before?
This was never, we've discussed this over the last 17 years I've been here. We've never, councils have just never been receptive to that because let's leave people alone.
Okay, I think we need to proceed with that, Craig,
But-
because we can't keep replacing these developments. Hartley Ridge is starting to build, they're going to build streets, they're going to build more streets out there at Keystone, and we're going to get more streets that we have to replace.
Anybody who builds knows that a 2-inch street is not going to take the traffic. They know that.
Well, they're
And we
not
can
putting in
say-
2-inch streets. But up there in hometown, and then some of that was in Keystone, was a problem with the mixing. It wasn't the depth.
And I've been told.
It was the mix.
And I don't know how much it's
And-
considered, it's
bring
not
weights to that.
reinforced correctly.
Probably not.
There's a lot of things that can go wrong in a street, from the base to the reinforcing to the mix.
So when do we get this bond?
Underneath
When do we?
wherever the lines went across.
So
Well, I think anytime you would improve, for instance, out on Keystone, if another section was opened up for improvement, your bond would need to be posted before.
Regardless if it's only 50 feet.
Yeah, whatever. Right?
Yeah, so
Because a lot of times they just pour enough and And
For the
some of
next
those
house?
additions for the next
Two
2 or 3
houses.
houses, and that's
Yeah.
it. And then they stop.
You post a bond. I mean, that's the bond or letter of credit. You can use a letter of credit also.
So how do we get started with setting up
It's gonna have to
procedures
be-
for that?
You're gonna have to have some legal procedures, and it's gonna have to be done by ordinance.
Well, we need to do that because they're gonna keep building out there and we're gonna keep getting streets that
And
aren't.
get permit, you need to have permits to do it. So the contractor comes and before he builds, he gets a permit. You're gonna have a lot of pushback.
So
from the
out there,
contractors.
that specific development, did we put a new concrete street? Can we do assessments on a redo?
They're gonna like that.
Not that I know of.
Can you, Craig? Can you do assessments on a redo?
They don't already have assessments on there?
No, because the developer put it in when he developed it.
I'll have to look. Certainly shouldn't.
I don't
It may
know
be
that you
something,
can.
I mean, there's certain spots that are worse than others, and I hate piecemealing it, but, you know, you have to fix the worst spots and do it as you go. I mean, that's what we're doing on North 20th Street
Well,
too.
but we could give
One
the
section at a
option to say we could redo
Sure.
it, and this will be the assessments, or you get a piecemeal as we find time to do it, when our
Right.
city crew can do it. I mean, that's kind of,
Right. I'm sure they won't be too excited about the assessments, but we can offer it.
yeah. And, you know, we have to at least look at it for, on the 11th Road as well.
You're right.
So, you know, we're gonna have to change a few things on the, if we're gonna get our streets fixed, we have a big street issue, so.
On, as I recall, when Keystone went in and those streets went in, I believe we requested tests on that, and CES, I believe, did the testing, and those are submitted, and one came in, well, not real low, but it was just right borderline, but the others came in above the brakes, what was required. You were on here.
You talked about from Keystone?
The brakes came in.
That's Keystone.
That was the enforcement we tried at that time, and the test came back.
Is that from 11th Road to 11th Terrace? That stretch that we keep asphalting? Are you talking about the one that we?
No, we're talking about within the Keystone
We're talking the
Oh, within the
development.
Within the development.
Within the development.
Because I know
there was a
when
concern with it.
When the
because-
loop, as I call it, was poured, a lot of that I know didn't meet.
Yeah, but
That was
we
really crap.
requested the brakes and.
Because he was having troubles with his
CES did those
machine and
brakes.
stuff, I know at that time, correct, Tony?
Yeah, he used his own.
Oh, Tony's up in the podium. Tony, you're back.
I was just gonna add that we've had this same discussion with Planning Commission. You know, we require street plans before we'll approve a plat, but there's nothing to get from the piece of paper to what's actually built on site. There's no teeth, no leverage, and so I think the city can provide an inspector out there full-time, whether it's their staff or hired, but
During the construction, yeah.
I mean, there's nothing for the that makes the developer hire his own inspector, especially when they're building their own streets.
But there are certain specs for a street that should be
Correct.
used for.
There's, like for Hartley Ridge, for example, there's full street design and specifications that we submitted to the city for review. So there's a full design on all the streets.
But, I mean, there's a minimum like 8 Sackcrete that needs to be used
Oh,
for
yeah.
streets instead of a low-grade sand mixer.
So
It's the same specs we've
Well,
used on every
one thing
street
with-
project for the
One thing
city.
with Keystone is SR subdivision. Under our code, SR, and there's SR1, SR2, SR3, those do not require paved streets. So with whatever they put in there, they were going over and above. And as you recall, the only reason that they put the concrete streets in was they were trying to sell some of those houses under HUD. And HUD required a paved street to buy those. So that was why the developers started putting in the concrete streets. Because all they had to put in was gravel, because that's what our code said. 26 foot wide gravel streets.
Well, then maybe we need to change our UDL, right? Is that Uniform Development Land Code?
ULCD.
Yeah.
UC, whatever that acronym is. Do we need to change that?
I don't know the proper way to do that, but yeah, I personally feel there should be something. I mean, it's hard to require you require the developer to provide inspection. That's, a big expense. It'll just be like passed on to the lots, but.
Well, I like this bonding thing, that we have it to fall back on in case they they wear out within such a short time.
Am I correct on that, Tony, that a properly maintained and poured, well-packed concrete street should have lasted 50 years, correct?
Correct.
And they were failing within 2.
I mean, it might crack, but you won't get the separation of that we see.
Yeah, but I mean, if the base is solid and everything, when they pour, there shouldn't be.
And like out at Keystone,
separation.
we put in 8-foot deep sewers and then came back not long after and poured streets over top of it. And
right. And then we got some cracking.
That could have settled.
Right.
You can see around every manhole.
Right.
There's a 20-foot diameter
crack
cave-in, basically.
Yeah.
So, we need to get better at this. Okay, Craig, you got your marching orders? Okay. All right.
Well, we're still on street?
We're still on streets.
Okay. Well, we touched earlier, but I mentioned the new 11th Drive. Rick mentioned putting a sign up there. There are a handful of other places that are private or regular streets that, well, 11th Street North, when we talked about dust treatment, it's not signed either. Is that something where when we're going replacing off of Jayhawk? Is that somewhere where we put a sign?
We can put one if we need one up there.
Oh, up there.
But I was just thinking, if we're going to do one for one private drive, I mean, at what point do we do them for the others while they're at?
Well, we have done, because we did them for Keating Street. We did that one for them.
What about Kiowa, Juniper, and Prairie? Does Prairie Lane have one?
Yes.
Okay. What about Kiowa and Juniper?
Prairie Lane's a public street.
Kiowa does not.
Kiowa's
got their little wooden sign.
Well, right. But I'm saying for uniformity.
But Kiowa is, the people that live on Kiowa aren't in the city, are they?
Yes.
Yes, they are.
Yes.
Kiowa is?
So those are both, and Juniper is too.
That's the south end of the
Juniper
limits.
might have a little wooden sign.
Juniper's what?
No, it's got a.
Sorry, by you.
What that is.
They got a sign.
That regular green standard reflective sign?
They got a sign.
Oh, okay.
Well, there's still a lot of...
Okay, wait a second. There's lots of streets that don't have the green reflective
Well, I know,
signs.
but we're
So
trying
not
to get
going-
to that point.
I know, but
I didn't know
keep
if
in
those
mind,
would be on the list of those too.
we can make sure it goes on the list.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying is they
Add 'em
might
to the list
be
of
over.
Gary.
They might be over.
Add them to Gary's
overlooked.
list.
Okay,
You
that's
got
it.
that, Rick? Add them to Gary's list. Anything else,
No, that's
Todd,
it.
for
That's all
street?
street.
Anybody else got street?
Yes, I have a question about streets. I don't know if streets is the right place for it, but people are still mowing grass out in the street. They're letting their grass get tall and they mow out and it goes out about this far. Now we're about to get a whole bunch of rain and all that ends up down in our sewer and then our guys have to go clean it out. So I think we should authorize the police that if they see that they go to and give tickets.
Haven't we talked about that before? Haven't we told the police to? I thought we told the police that, dude.
I know the other day, I'm like Vicky, I seen some guy going, that grass was 2.5 foot tall on the first pass by. It went halfway out the street.
Yep. But didn't we already told the police we want those tickets issued.
Who told the police?
Oh, that's Rick's job.
Did they get told, Rick? No.
I'll talk with Todd again.
Yeah, again.
See what, I guess we can be the grass police, I guess.
I think we need to be, because it hurts our storm sewer.
Because some of our storm sewers don't have open backs on them for the debris to run into, and once it plugs the main grate, it backs up in the streets.
So we just need to, that's a rule, that's a law we have. We just need to have it enforced. Anything else?
That's all, ma'am.
Okay, water and sewer? Parks and Rec?
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
All right. We met with Brian last week, Monday, and Keith, Denny, me, Brian, and
The banker.
yeah, the banker.
Oh.
Can't think of his name. Max Searcy, there you go. And we looked at the project overall, and there was a couple things, well, 4 things that we really looked at real hard, and that was the parking lot drainage. And Don Bruna and Phil Bruna were up there and looked at it. If you look at your sheet there, I run a copy of just basically the parking lot deal. Brunas have been up there and they have taken about 3 or 4 flags and placed across the parking lot section down below and put across there. Their deal, they said that is solid rock across there. It would cost big bucks to dig that rock down. They're looking to anywhere from 4 to 8 feet of having to take that rock down to get that to flow to the north. His deal was kind of making like a terrace, but like a berm deal, like 8 to 10 inches high, and run it across there fairly wide so cars could go over it to channel that water coming down off the 20th Street, down through the railroad parking lot, down that gravel drive, to keep that water to the north and keep bringing it around so it drains off to the back of the tree line. There's a drainage ditch that runs behind Diamond 3 back here. Follow it into that tree line so it dumps back behind.
Are you still trying to get it off this way?
Going to the north, yes.
You still, and you think putting a berm in this gravel parking is going to push it?
And push it back to the north.
But you said you have to raise it up 8 feet, 8 inches, I'm sorry?
He's talking 6 to 8 inches, you know, is all we'll need.
That's
to
enough. That's enough.
Yeah.
Really? Okay.
But if we make it fair, you know, he said it won't be a speed bump. It'll be a wider control.
It'll be a waterway.
Huh?
Waterway?
It'll be like a waterway.
Well, what we're trying to do is get this from coming down this here, all this coming off of here, and it all comes down through the parking lot now.
Yeah.
Even from up here off
20th Street.
So are you trying to change this right there?
No. Right across.
All this?
All that too. We'll come to that north.
Oh, you're going to feed all that down there?
Yep. And then coming in on the main gravel driveway that we come down into the ballpark on, that is railroad tied all the way from 20th Street down to the Blue Diamond there. They've thought if we take out a couple of those railroad ties that are on that and reblade that road to get that water coming down that road to dump, there's an inlet down there just inside outside the fence, just down, that we can channel the water into that. Coming off that road.
So you're trying to regrade the entrance road?
To get the water coming off.
There was one storm sewer down there.
Right, and we're trying to get the water.
But it was washing over it.
Well, it's not even getting to that because the railroad ties are stacked so high along the roadway there.
On the roadway?
Yeah, it comes all the way down and catches a curb and gutter inside the park and takes it down to the storm sewer, clear down by the concession stand. So that's another way we're looking at alleviating water coming into the park. So then it'll just drain a very small section of the parking lot down into that little drain on the end.
Okay. So what do you think this is going to cost us?
We're working on that yet. But that was
your solution at the moment?
Yep. And then we need to put some drain tiles in at the back of the Blue Diamond, the Black Diamond, and behind the retaining walls because there's water that sets out in the outfield. And we're looking at that yet. If we put drain tile outside the fields, about 3 to 4 feet outside the fence, to catch the water running out of the field, that would work.
I think we discussed five
different spots of doing that. And then moving the handicap, I know everybody's been up there, but right now you go down and you kind of go around the playground into that little circle area down there where we have designated handicap spots. We're talking about closing that circle off and moving the first, 5?
Up to the batting cage?
Up to the batting cages there on the east side of the...
West side.
East side of the parking lot.
Yeah, east side.
From the playground?
From the playground in that area there, designating that as the handicap area. And then we needed to find out about the railings on the Black Diamond. We put those new retaining walls up and there's no railings on it. We think there needs to be a railing of some sort on that.
I think we were planning on extending those. And
and extending those down and putting another retaining wall to the...
In the north?
Yeah, east on the Black. Yeah, north and east.
Then if we was going to take out the batting cage, we was going to put 2 batting cages, north of the utility shed in that grass area.
And then we have some capital improvements for future dates coming up. Feldhausen Field, new press box, concession stand, bathrooms, electrical, aluminum bleachers with ADA seating, lighting, drainage and dugouts, removing water fountains from dugouts, and adding batting cages.
So you're going to come with a big number for all this, huh? Hey, did you look at the drainage too at Lakeview where it goes in the dugout? So you're going to address that as well?
Well, that'd be part of
Part of the black, the drainage tile down there on
drainage
black.
tile on the black diamond.
There's bedding.
I'm talking about the drainage that goes into the dugout at Lakeview. I'm sorry, at Felt Field.
Yes,
You're addressing that as well?
drainage and dugout.
Okay.
It's in the future plan.
And taking out the old water hydrants
The old water hydrants in there.
in the dugout.
There's water hydrants in the dugout?
Yeah. There's
And the
old
water, that's
fountains in
not
there.
water's good.
Oh, it's not that good? Okay.
Good water.
Then at
Okay.
Lakeview, our future date plans, and I'll give this to Debbie, was more green space, the lighting, changing out the wooden poles for new aluminum poles, laser level, all ball fields, erosion control, add one more batting cage, utility shed, 20 by 20, new windows for the press box.
So is this like a 5-year plan? What is
Yeah.
this?
This is not
5-year
all
plan?
1 year.
Not all one
Okay.
year.
So the first step will be 2017, you think? Okay.
Concession stand-up dating, holes for trees dug out in the limestone, like a 20 by 20 hole, so we can actually get a tree to grow up there, because they don't grow very good in limestone. Some foul ball protection, and then a little dirt work up around the concession stand.
That's still Felt Field?
Lakeview, going off to the Black Diamond. They've got those red, big kind of pavement stones stuck in there. They're starting to heave and twist and walk and stuff, so that's a future project that we're looking at up there too.
And with the 2 batting cages, we're hoping the school will pay for one, because that's the problem they have with the high school teams playing there. It takes so long for each team to go through a rotation and batting. So we're hoping to put 2 cages there and have
At
it.
Lakeview?
At Lakeview and Feld Field.
And Felt Field.
See if the school will pay for
There's
one.
one of both.
Yes.
Okay, well, thanks for meeting. So next time you give us, you're gonna have little highlights so we can
We're
follow
gonna
what I...
bring some highlights.
Okay,
Waiting
good.
on,
Good.
like I said,
it was
I
hard-
talked to the Brunas on Friday, and he says the weather's dry and they were moving dirt, and he says, we haven't got there, but he said if it rains, he says, I will sit down and get it drawn up for you. So.
Okay. Well, thank you, and we'll look forward to that next 3-year plan there. Anything else?
Yeah, were the flag, I heard the flags weren't up during Armed Forces Day. Did anybody notice that?
What? They weren't?
On the bridges?
Yeah, they're up.
They were? Okay. I heard they weren't.
They weren't on the bridges, were they? They were up, down, down.
They were on the bridges.
Were they?
Yeah. Well, they were the one going west. I didn't go south, but they were west.
Okay.
Okay, but that's not our responsibility, the flag.
I think
Yes,
there's
for the record.
4 days that they ought to be all put up.
I agree they should be up, but they're not our responsibility. I mean, we don't even have the flag, so we can't.
No.
Yeah.
But
Okay, cemetery and airport, police and fire.
We got swimming pool.
Swimming pool, this is the packet. Okay, on page 60, Maria had a couple of requests. The first one was a reimbursement for mileage for the runs to buy purchases. What do you guys think?
They can claim it in their taxes, can't they?
Excuse me?
Can they claim it in their taxes?
Mileage, unreimbursed mileage, yeah. I mean,
I don't, if they'd have brought it up when they brought their wages to the deal, that might have been different. But when you come up and already approve what they're going to be paid, and then they come up and want more money for different things, I don't think that's right.
okay. I hate to start a precedent. We don't have any log books for any city vehicles. When the city staff has to run, nobody keeps track, so so the consensus is not to do number 1. How about number 2? I think it's a good idea to have another water safety instructor myself. You're looking at me funny, Kev, what do you?
I do, I see the need for it, don't get me wrong, but...
2 in the same family, is that what you're concerned?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
And I guess a way around it, I know $185 isn't that much with the city's budget. But I mean, if she's getting it and she's only going to be here a year or 2, and if she gets a job somewhere else, we're spending $185 that maybe she may end up in Kansas City or something after she graduates college. or something and down there teaching.
Didn't we agree to pay for CPR though? Aren't we reimbursing CPR for the guards? Aren't we doing that?
Recertifications.
Recertifications,
So
yeah.
my deal would be if she's interested in doing it, that we, the city would pay half of it. Then in case she left, she could take her certification with her and go someplace else and teach.
That's not a bad idea. How do you guys feel about that?
Be okay.
So, does somebody want to make a motion on that?
Yes, I would.
Go, Kev. Go for it, Kev.
I move that if Cheyenne wants to take the course for water safety instructor, that City of Marysville will pay half of her course charge.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 8-0. And then number 1, we'll just say that the council census was no. Is that all agreed? All right. We got that. Going back, we didn't have anything cemetery and airport?
I have something for cemetery and airport.
Okay, what is it?
In both places, people are walking their dogs and they're not picking up. Airport, bad enough, especially when we have Lifestar come in there and the ambulance pulls up and they haul somebody over and their first thought is getting that person to the helicopter and to find out that they've stepped in poo out there. I don't know why people won't pick up after their dogs, especially if they're walking out there, but it is really disturbing to me. And I was in the cemetery one day and watched 2 ladies walking their dogs, turned them loose, the dogs ran up all through the tombstones, and one took a poo about 7 headstones in. I mean, they were acting like they didn't see that, but they weren't going to go up there and walk up in there while they're walking the cement trails through the cemetery. They're not going to walk up there and clean up. They didn't while I saw them, and they certainly aren't going to do it when nobody's watching. But that's the desecration of the grave. I mean, to have animal waste in our cemeteries. I mean,
Well, do you want to
on the
put
graves.
those waste stations, do you want waste stations set
No,
up?
I want them at their, no. Well, yeah, no.
No. Let's put a sign up, no dogs allowed, period.
Do you want dogs not in the cemetery? A lot of people walk
It's
there.
a beautiful place to walk, but if they're gonna, I mean, and I see it everywhere. I'm out the cemetery a couple times a week at least. And I drive all around and I see a spot here, and a spot there, and a spot there. It's not all the same dog. But if a few people aren't gonna pick up after their dogs, especially in a cemetery, I think that those particular people should be told that they can't walk their dogs there
It's hard to
anymore.
suss those people out, though. That's the trouble.
It really is. But I guess
I know a lot of people enjoy the cemetery, but it's not a dog park.
it's not a dog park. It's not a place to, if you're not
We
gonna
voted
pick up
against
after
the
your
dog park.
That's right.
Yes. So how do you think, how can we enforce it? How do you?
Put a sign that says no dogs allowed.
No dogs at all.
No dogs allowed in the cemetery?
Very much.
Yeah.
Unless it's a service dog.
Well, then what are you gonna do about people come from out of town visiting their relatives and they got their little poodle? And it runs around while they're looking for the grave.
Keep
Well,
him
they're
in
gonna have to
the
keep him
in the car.
Ignorance is no excuse for breaking the law. There's all sorts of times people travel to other jurisdictions. You have to follow the rules of the jurisdiction you're in.
It's just so disrespectful to think that somebody is allowing waste on the graves of our families. I'm just appalled by it.
So we just want to make.
Is there an ordinance prohibiting dogs in the cemetery?
No.
Yeah, I mean, I think you could put a sign up, but a sign doesn't mean anything if it's not actually an ordinance.
It's gonna have to be backed up by an ordinance, otherwise the judge is gonna
I
kill
mean, I
it.
guess it could deter some people, but
The good people that probably would have picked up the waste.
The sign
anyway.
without the ordinance has no force of law.
Well, and it's a shame to tell everybody, you know, that if they're taking a walk, that they can't take their dog with them, that a few people have absolutely ruined it for everybody, but I guess that's the way it is. To prohibit everybody who wants to walk their dog out there, and there's a lot of them, just because a few people are so disrespectful in a cemetery.
Okay, well, do you want to draft up an ordinance to that effect? You want it in the airport too?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
he's drafting.
and then we have to ask the police to enforce it.
I'm a little less worried about the airport than the cemetery.
Well, I'm not, because...
Especially around the helipad.
The helipad.
Unless you go with what Todd said, unless it's a C&I dog.
well,
Yeah, service dog.
Yeah, service dog.
Service
They're
dogs
exempted
don't have that.
anyway,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Okay. All right, moving on, police and fire, admin and finance.
Just, we need, listening to Carol, come up with some kind of a quarterly or 6-month deal on reconciliation with the municipal court from an outside
Yeah, I mean,
auditor
I don't
of some
understand why
sort.
they can't look at her reconciliation.
Yeah.
And to tie into outstanding checks is not a difficult
And
task.
I don't know, how often do we need to do it? I mean, how often would she like it done? That was what I was trying to get out of Carol here.
Yeah, she
but-
just said every once in a while.
Yeah, so is quarterly enough, you think?
I'll bring back a report or maybe ask
Okay.
Kenny to come to the next meeting.
So right now, she's
Yeah,
okay.
it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Shouldn't be that complicated.
I wouldn't think it would either. I mean, just to have an outside person look in it, go, yeah.
Make reconciliation done.
Yeah,
Okay.
and sign off on it. I mean, that was her biggest deal, that we didn't have an outside party sign off of
Look
it,
at
so
it.
we need a signature or something on it that says,
Didn't we talk about Key Caker doing that?
Yes.
yeah.
Our treasurer, didn't we talk, I can't
Debbie's
understand
gonna
why
talk
a year
to
later
Yeah.
that we didn't implement
Trying to
it.
figure out why it's not.
And
we
the same
can't
with
do
the
it.
library board, we need to probably send somebody to training on there.
Well, they're under their own control. We can communicate
We
that
can
we encourage
communicate a letter
them,
to them.
but they really do, their employees, their own jurisdiction.
And there again, I suppose we ought to probably, do they have somebody outside look at their books then too? Because that'll be the next thing, she'll come back, that we probably have someone look at their books on a quarterly basis too.
Well, they have an outside a firm that's doing their books.
Okay. They don't do it in-house?
No.
Okay.
She said they did.
Okay, anything else? All right, appointments, I just have one appointment, Barb Hawkins. She was the principal at the Catholic school.
St. Gregory's.
Yes, and she's agreed to serve on the Kester House Museum Advisory Board. So I would entertain a motion to accept that.
Move to approve the mayor's appointment of Barb Hawkins on the Kester House
I'll second.
Advisory Board.
Advisory Board.
Museum Advisory. Second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ada, thank you very much. Thank you, Barbara, for serving. No, we had a vacancy there. All right, city attorney, you have anything?
I do not.
All right, I know we need an executive session, so. What
20
time is
minutes.
it? Half hour. 20 minutes?
Half hour.
Well, we're going to come back anyway.
Okay.
We have to come back anyway, so.
We'll do 20 minutes? You gonna do 20? All right, do 20.
Madam Mayor, I move the City Council recess into executive session pursuant to the non-elected personnel matters exception under KSA 75-4319B1 to discuss city administrator candidates and a matter relating to employer-employee negotiations, exception under KSA 75-4319B3 to discuss the terms of the city administrator contract. This executive session will include only the mayor, city attorney Craig Olson, and the city council. The executive session will begin at, let's say, 7:27 to give a couple minutes for... Excuse me, 9... Yeah, sorry. Yeah. All right, let's try that again. 9:37. Am I saying that right? 9:35. 9:35. Give 4 minutes.
For us to get there?
Yes. Okay, I'm going to get it. 9:35. Returning at
9:55?
Thank you for doing that.
9:55, you okay with that?
Yes.
Is there a second?
Sure.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. When you said 7, I was like, oh my God.
He must need your bifocals tonight, Danny. You're all right, baby.
I think I better get another cup of coffee. Calling back to order the regular session of the City Council, and no binding decisions were made during executive session.
Madam Mayor, I move the City Council recess in executive session pursuant to the non-elected personnel matters exception KSA 75-4319B 1 to discuss city administrator candidates and matters relating to employer-employee negotiations, exception under KSA 75-4319B3 to discuss the terms of the city administrator contract. This executive session will include only the mayor, city attorney Craig Olson, the city council, and Austin St. John. The executive session will begin at 9:58 and resume at 10:08. Thank you. Thank you. I was just like 10 minutes. I was going to make it easy, but that's okay.
10 minutes? 10 minutes?
Yeah.
Second.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
I just let you do it.
We should have just had you stand at the door having a mess.
All these papers.
I know.
Disorganized.
I think I was.
I'm going to sit down.
Okay. Did I? Oh, wait. Do we have a quorum? Yes.
Yeah.
Calling regular session back to order and no binding decisions were made.
Okay, Madam Mayor, I move the City Council recess into executive session pursuant to the non-elected personnel matters exception under KSA 75-4319B1 to discuss the city administrator candidates and a matter relating to employer-employee negotiations exception under KSA 75-4319B3 to discuss the terms of the city administrator's contract. This executive session will include only the mayor, city attorney Craig Olson, and the city council. The executive session will begin at 10:09 and resume at 10:19.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right.
Peter, hey, should we put a digital clock up here?
I think we did some training on the radio.
10's easy, man.
You had the second on the
I like your math skills.
Yeah, do we need to walk you through?
Yeah, he's gonna. We're gonna do.
She's got to bring it back.
You gotta bring us back.
It's not
We got
10
one more
minutes.
Yeah, we got a minute yet. We got about a minute and a half.
I know.
Yeah, can we do it?
You don't have it memorized yet?
I wouldn't even attempt to.
30 seconds.
I think we're gonna do it based on when it gets to this right. Okay. Call this meeting back to order. There were no binding decisions made in executive session.
Madam Mayor, I move the City Council recess into executive session pursuant to the non-elected personnel matters exception KSA 75-4319B1 to discuss the city administrator candidate, and matters relating to employer-employee negotiations exception under KSA 75-4319B3 to discuss the terms of the city administrator's contract. This executive session will include only the mayor, city attorney Craig Olson, the city council, and Austin St. John. The executive session will begin at 10:20 and resume at 10:25.
Who seconded?
Oh, wait.
Yeah, second, sorry.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Thank you, Greg. We're bolting up. Good job, Greg. Good catch.
Consider I got a blank space.
Turn back to Call this meeting back to order. No binding decisions were made during executive session.
Actually,
No binding decisions were made. Now we'll make a binding decision.
no, a binding decision was made. You need to put that on the record. And that's what this motion's going to reflect.
Binding decision was made. Motion's coming.
Madam Mayor, I move to have the council approve the mayor to extend the offer as discussed in the executive session, and for the city attorney to draft the contract as amended, and to extend the offer to Austin St. John for the position of city administrator.
I second it.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? 8-0. There you go.
Did you get all that, Debbie?
All right. Any other executive sessions needed? Okay. Roundtable. Keith.
Just one. I guess we missed this city clerk day. They have a special day for city clerk, so happy city clerk.
Today?
Oh, was it first week of May?
Oh, close enough. That's all I got.
They got mentioned.
For you, it's the
That's all I got.
That's all right, yeah, every day is Clerk's Day.
Thank you, City Clerk. Bill.
Well, happy City Clerk Day too. That's it.
Darlene?
Happy City Clerk's Day and the rest of the year.
Brad?
Nothing more. Ditto.
Oh, I have a handful of things.
That's not what we wanted to hear.
No, I'm sorry. I'll try to zoom through. First, I brought up a couple council meetings ago, people who are flouting the mowing rules over and over. I can't remember how we resolved that as far as repeated infractions.
The mowing when they go into the street?
Or no, just not mowing.
Oh, not mowing. But don't they have to have a letter?
They get a letter.
They get a letter, and then thereafter they get
And then it
assessed,
graduates.
don't they?
They only get one letter, correct,
Only
Cindy?
get one letter. Once that is, we come in and mow it at
Yeah.
any time.
But then what? Then they mow it, and then if they don't mow it again in 4 weeks, we just do the same process over and over.
Well,
We
don't
mow
have to send more letters.
So for the rest of the season.
Yeah. They get one letter.
Okay,
One
so
letter, and then we go in and mow it.
okay, so when do we decide when to mow it? After.
David drives
So
by,
talk to
it
Dave.
has to
Dave
be
and
8
Dale.
inches tall.
Okay, great.
Dale discuss.
I know who to talk to. All right. Next one is tree board. I've talked to a couple of the tree board members. They've come and they've presented probably not, 6-8 months ago. Emerald ash borers, pine wilt. There's a lot of tree issues, but especially the emerald ash borer, as far as being kind of a time bomb. It's not something we really dealt with because, it takes time and it takes money and it takes expertise. They've done a lot of work creating an inventory, but it's something where we need to start, I think, planning for. We need to start inventorying which trees need to come out sooner rather than later and start working on a plan to replace them. Or we're going to have widespread trees
Are
with
you saying
issues.
take out emerald?
To find trees that are infected and
Ash.
that can be treated.
The ash trees.
Right.
We have to take out ash trees.
Right. Well, treat where you can, remove where you must. Otherwise, we'll end up with widespread issues. There's a lot of ash trees.
We have a lot of ash.
Yeah. I don't know. Our forestry budget is small. I don't know what is our forestry budget. Virtually non-existent. I don't know what it would take to get that started as far as working off their inventory now that's a couple years old. But I think that's something we probably, I don't know if that'd fall under the purview of Parks and Rec. What?
Only if it falls within Parks and Rec.
Well, right. Otherwise, it's street?
It's street.
So,
Street in general.
Who's the street committee? Off the top of your head? Is that something you guys feel like you'd want to look at, perhaps? Not to put words in your committee's mouth.
Not really, but we can. Because the street crew doesn't remove them anyway. That goes to Dale's crew.
Right.
For removal.
And this might be one of those things where, again, the arborist that we had here in the park, it might be something where an arborist, hopefully free,
And where
would take a
Dale
look
works
at.
with her, it might be best to refer this on to the Cemetery and Parks Board.
That might be true. The cemetery and airport?
Yeah, that one too.
Okay, that's mine. I will do that.
Mine too.
Yeah, does that sound good? We need to have a meeting?
Yeah, but we can't do anything about it this year because they've already flown. It has to be done before they
I know.
They pupate.
We just need to get on the.
Yeah, it has to be done before May. It has to be done before the end of April.
Okay, so
Because
2017.
They'll be out.
Then
They'll
you need
leave
to
that
figure out
tree.
how much we have to put in the budget for it then,
All right.
in the next month.
We will meet and work on it. Okay. Also, Hometown Drive, there's a waterway between Hometown Lumber and Hometown Drive. I'm trying to point it out on the map if it's on here. And it is. This right here, there's a drain that comes down here, and then this was kind of a little tree-lined ravine. But the farmer that bought that land has leveled it out. I don't know if there's a tube underneath there, but the water now is really backing up. I was told by some people out there it was backing up. And that house on the corner of Hometown Drive is almost in their basement in their heavy rain. And I don't know if it's because that waterway was removed. I don't know, because that's the edge of city limits where our responsibility lies. Do you know if there's a tube underneath that field?
No, there is not.
I don't think so.
Is there
There was a natural terrace.
Yeah.
That made the
curved.
That made the curve in there to allow the water, once it left that spot around to get to the creek there on the east side.
You can see it on the map.
You can, yeah,
you can see the.
Did they take it out?
Yeah, they leveled the field.
They took the terrace out?
Yes.
Well, I thought that in farmland, you can't do that. You can't affect.
You can't change the creek.
In the city limits, see, the problem here is we got city limits bordering on the county.
Right.
In the city limits, the riparian stuff doesn't apply. You can put all the water you want on your neighbor's property and they can't do anything about it. But your downspouts go over there. Farmers, on the other hand, if two adjoining, you can correct me if I'm wrong here, they can't change waterways. One farmer can't change waterway going on to another one. But it gets a real gray area when you got a city limits and waterway, because I think the guy's probably within his rights. So it's not the city's responsibility, it's between the property owners.
Well, but the farmer changed his water flow.
It's
you can take waterways out.
It's complicated, but
yeah, anywhere on your own property, but you can't change the flow from your property to another one in the county.
And that's all he did was taking the waterway out, right?
Correct. He took the waterway out.
It shut or over.
Just so he could, yeah, man,
it's a level farm.
Property was very expensive. I understand why he wants to get the most out of it, but the homeowners there are concerned because if Orchlands goes in, well, Walmart went in, and then if Orchlands goes in, that's going to be less, that's going to be more pavement.
Quicker runoff.
Less water absorption into the ground. This situation, bad, it's, you know, we've had this rain.
Craig and I have already talked about this situation. I advised him of the situation a few weeks ago.
Okay.
He's aware of it.
As the homeowner, I mean, I guess I took a wait and see approach because, I mean, if somebody's asking the city, somebody specific is asking the city to do something, then I'll look into it.
Well, you know, talking not necessarily litigiously, but leaning that way, like this is the, you know, city needs to do something. We approve the developments that are causing the water to run there, sort of thing. I don't know where the responsibility lies, but I mean, his concern is it'll get up into his basement. I mean, apparently took pictures where it was, I mean, a couple inches away from getting up into the, backing up that far. If it's got no way to run off.
It's another water.
Well, that's what I'd want to look into, and I'm, as Rick said, I've already had preliminary discussions with him about this issue, about where the city has been involved at any point in time. That might make a determination as to what it needs to do or what it should do. But at this point, I don't know. Rick, I think maybe you're right. That's kind of what we discussed. It may be a private matter, but if there's some liability to the city, I obviously want to look into that to make sure.
And there's been other issues prior to you coming on with the city as far as water runoff.
It's a legal issue.
Right.
The only option I can see on that is we would have to cut a ditch in from where that drops out behind that property all the way north and drop it in that north grader ditch off of the state highway.
You can't do that without going on that farm field, because you've got the berm that comes down behind Hometown Lumber. That toe comes almost right down.
Does it?
So you don't have the width you would need to go in there. Let's say a 10 or 20 foot wide easement, to cut that ditch or even put a tube in. Even if you were going to tube it, you'd still have to get over on that farm field. I seriously doubt the owner of that farm is going to let the city in there to put a tube in there and tear his field up, put the tube in there. You know, though I think the whole thing is going to somehow, if they keep pressing, is going to be a legal issue, because we don't, to my knowledge, without looking further, I did give with David, I don't know if we've got any, there's probably a utility easement along the east side of Hometown Lumber, but I don't know if there's a drainage easement. And I spoke to the property owner and I explained the situation to him. I said, I understand his concern, and I think he's got a legitimate concern, but he had gone and talked to farmer, and farmer says, this is my property, I can do with it what I want. And he went to Hometown Lumber, they said, it's not our problem, it's the city's. That's the way he called, and I said, well, we don't have, I can't send a crew in there and cut the ditch back in that farm field, because then we're really going to get sued. So there's nothing I can do with the city crews to do anything to help you. I said, it's a legal issue, and I referred him, Craig, did the guy ever call you? I don't think he ever called you, did he?
I haven't spoken to specific landowners
so
of any of those properties.
It's a legal issue.
But if you're talking to somebody, Todd, or any other council member, do as Rick did, you can refer them to me. I'm happy to have the conversation with the specific individuals. It sounds like I probably need to explore it even maybe more than we already have, because it's, and not that I was hoping to go away, but it's obviously something that's being brought up some more, and with all the rain, I understand.
Yeah, this year's kind of to find out what can wash away or where water can back up. So that's all I have.
Vic.
Well, good things are happening in Ward 3 again.
I'm so glad. I haven't heard that lately.
I know it.
About time it started reoccurring.
I know it. And as I ride around and look at the ward, there's another Stoll house coming out, and that's the little cabins south of town. As you come into town, you see one of them sitting up there on the hill, and it requires 2 of those little cabins to qualify to meet the ordinance for the footprint that they leave in the city. But there's another one coming up in the 3rd ward, and then a trailer house, a single wide, was recently sold. That lot was sold, and from what I've heard, the new owners intend to take the trailer out. So it's another single wide that's coming out. Single wides can't go back in according to ordinance, so they intend to put a garage there. So I think good things are happening. I'm glad that people are building and moving into the 3rd ward. I'm happy about that. Thank you.
Danny.
I have nothing.
Kevin.
I have nothing tonight.
I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 8-0. Good job.
And who's a Yahoo?
Do you know that releasing endorphins? You need to tell your brothers about that. Get out of the country and yell.
That's true. That's true.